Hello and welcome to episode 25 of Some Like It Real. I'm Bryan.
And I'm Veronica.
And we're two cinephiles who love to talk movies.
We have weekly episodes discussing the newest films, creating lists and drafts, and keeping you updated on the latest movie headlines and awards races.
As a reminder, please like, rate, and subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms, which helps more people find the show.
And share it with any cinephiles in your life.
And today, we are traveling to a galaxy far, far away and bringing you a draft on a particular topic. Veronica, do you know what we'll be talking about?
Star Trek, right?
God, I don't even know why I wrote that joke in. We're going to get canned. This episode will be all about Star Wars and nothing but Star Wars. And this is why I'm never going to sing for the pod again. This was the one time and it's never going to happen again.
You used it once, it's done.
Yes.
Yes, Star Wars. So with the Mandalorian and Grogu hitting theaters this weekend, we wanted to do our first draft where we collaboratively rank films and thought this was the perfect topic to cover that.
We'll be ranking all 12 theatrically released Star Wars films. Yes, that includes the Clone Wars, folks, but we are not alone. Please join me in welcoming Athena Stamakinley to the pod. How are you doing today, Athena?
I'm good. I'm excited.
Bryan has told me that you're the biggest Star Wars fan ever, so thank you so much for joining us today, Athena. We're excited to take this journey with you. And before we begin, Bryan, would you like to explain the rules?
Yes. So we'll be looking at these 12 films and collaboratively ranking them as a team. There surely will be chaos. There surely will be heartbreak with how passionate Star Wars fans can get. I doubt that this will please anybody, but hopefully we're wrong and we create the definitive Star Wars ranking.
Sounds fun. And with that, it's time to pick the draft order. So when Bryan spins the wheel and your name is called, you can now pick whatever spot you want. So very different from our previous drafts.
Yes, exactly. Okay, I have our names on a wheel. Okay. Bryan, Veronica, and Athena. Veronica, it doesn't even matter really if you go first because you're not going to be, I mean, you might be Team A, but
I think this one more so than the regular drafts, I would like to have first pick. So we should just cover that there's drafter A, B, and C, alternating picks. C starts at the bottom of the list, and then there are varying veto powers and a veto override that are up for grabs. So, it can definitely change the game depending on which spot you get.
Yes. So now it's time to spin the wheel. Here we go. First up is going to be, I can't see who that is.
I can't tell which direction it is.
Oh, it's Athena.
Athena.
Oh, no, it's me.
So, Athena, what team are you going to pick?
A.
Drafter A.
Sorry, Veronica.
Sorry, I have to.
That's
all right,
cool.
next up. I think it's on me. Yep, it's on me.
Kidding?
No.
I'm gonna go with Team C.
That's the one I wanted.
You wanted Team C?
I wanted C, yeah.
Oh, well, sorry.
I got B.
So the order is Athena's Team A, Veronica's Team B, and I am Team C. So Athena is going to get to pick the 10th, 7th, 4th, and 1st pick. Veronica is going to pick the 11th, 8th, 5th, and 2nd. And I'm going to pick the 12th, 9th, 6th, and 3rd. So,
and
before
Athena
we get
has 2 vetoes,
yes.
I have 1 veto,
yes.
and Bryan has a veto and a veto override.
Yes.
We will track all that during the game. So
yes, we will. Okay. Before we get into drafting, let's go around to talk a little bit about what Star Wars means to us. So, Athena, as I've alluded to before, talking about you, you're one of, if not maybe the biggest Star Wars fan that I've ever had the pleasure of knowing, which is why I invited you onto this pod, so I'm very excited. So, I would love for you to tell us what Star Wars means to you.
Well, first of all, I'm honored. Thank you for thinking of me when you were looking for people for this episode. But Star Wars to me is, first of all, it's like a huge cultural impact for film in general because the first movie, that's how we got CGI. Like, it's just, if you're a film nerd and you don't love Star Wars, I'm sorry, you're wrong. Because even if you don't like the movies, this has literally changed film and has created things that we still use to this day. So I'm like such a huge fan of that. But Star Wars itself, I really feel like it brings together a lot of people from different walks of life. And in the movies, like, you can be friends with an alien from another planet, and the galaxy is so large and the possibilities are endless. And so growing up as a kid watching that, it really just, I don't know, just like impacted me in such a way, a positive way, that I view the world as like, yeah, we are all special in our own way, and we can all be different and still be cool, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Veronica, what about you? What does Star Wars mean to you? We haven't really talked about this franchise. We've talked about a few franchises throughout this podcast, but this is one that I don't really know your stance on. So, what does Star Wars mean to you?
Yeah, this is the first time kind of digging deep on it. And I think that Star Wars, most was introduced to me and everything. Definitely through my dad. It was, we've talked about this. I've talked about it with him before. Like, he was just at the perfect age when the originals were coming out. That it was, for anyone who was at all interested in movies and sci-fi in particular, like, it was just, monumental. So he definitely grew up with it. So I grew up with it. Like, I don't remember watching the original trilogy for the first time. It's just kind of always been there for me. And sort of similar with the prequels. I was pretty young when they first started coming out. Definitely, at least by the third or so, clearly remember going to the movies to see it and everything. But yeah, for the most part, it was just kind of like the water I was swimming in. It was just sort of on a lot in the house. It was just a cultural, it was culturally everywhere. And and I think that there are various relationships to different movies, but like Athena said, like, their place in film history, like, cannot be underestimated in terms of filmmaking, science fiction, especially. There's so much sci-fi that I love, and this is just it put it on the main stage like nothing else ever has or ever will, really, at this point. So yeah, it's just a culturally important. They're fun movies to debate, kind of because there are some like really high highs and really low lows, and I think that's fun to parse through. And getting ready for this draft, I was looking. I know I have like several Star Wars T-shirts, merch here and there. I think most of them are probably like in storage at my parents. So the only thing I have hanging around right now for my Star Wars love is this little BB-8 guy. So. I don't think I want to wear it the whole draft, but just to show, I have the merch. I
love it.
I go to Disney. I go to the Star Wars stuff. Like, it's definitely like it's been a cool part of my film life and cultural life and everything. It's just Star Wars has always been there.
Well, this is the piece of Star Wars merch that I'm bringing
There you
today.
go.
This is gonna be our little moderator for today's episode of the pod. Don't worry. Don't worry. Stay. Don't go anywhere. So Star Wars to me, Veronica, you brought up of how your dad introduced you to Star Wars. My mom is the one who introduced me to Star Wars. My dad's not really a sci-fi fan. He's not really into those fantastical, big budget genre stuff, but he was obviously at the right age when Star Wars first became a thing. Same with my mom. And, I just can't imagine like being alive when Star Wars began. Like, I would just love to know what that was like, because this was such a huge gamble. Nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew that it was going to end up becoming the phenomenon that it's been for the last almost 50 years. This series started literally 50 years ago next year. That's insane to me that this entire franchise is pretty close to being half a century old. That's absolutely wild that's been around for multiple generations, and multiple people have grown up with it. And, like Veronica said, there's a lot of highs in Star Wars. There's also a lot of low lows. But ultimately, it is one of the greatest franchises that we've ever been graced with. It did change the landscape for cinema and for blockbuster storytelling. It really is unlike anything that we've ever received. And, there are so many films and TV shows and books that try to inspire themselves to be the next Star Wars. Nothing's going to be the next Star Wars, because the only person or the only series that could be the next Star Wars is Star Wars. Like, nobody can replicate the magic that Star Wars has brought to our eyes. And I'm very excited to draft these films, because even though Star Wars isn't my number one franchise of all time, it's very beloved by me. I've loved it my whole life, and I will forever be a fan of Star Wars, even during its very bumpy periods. I will always love Star Wars. I'm excited to draft these films with you guys today, because I genuinely don't know where you guys are going to go. I don't know if you're going to spill any hot takes and be like, this film should be higher or this film should be lower. I'm really excited to break it down with all of you. But I have to just say, before we get into it, We're only covering the films, so sorry that Veronica Andor will not be eligible today.
My beloved Andor.
So I do apologize for that.
Understandable. It's hard to compare a TV show to a movie, so fair enough. We have to narrow it down somehow.
Exactly.
All right. So, Brian, would you like to remind us of the eligible films today?
Yes, the eligible films are as follows: Star Wars, or A New Hope, as some people like to call it, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, The Clone Wars, The Force Awakens, Rogue One, The Last Jedi, Solo, and The Rise of Skywalker.
Okay, let the draft begin.
Okay, so we're going to go to me first for the number 12 pick. I feel like this is one of the easiest spots of the entire draft. And this isn't even necessarily fair because, like, I feel like this movie unfortunately has the disadvantage of, being separate from the other movies and everything, but because it was theatrical release, it is eligible here. So I feel like it's safe to say that at the bottom it should be the Clone Wars. And here's the thing. I know that if you place this in watching the show, and I will address this right now, I have not seen the entirety of this show. I started it when it came out when I was a kid. I might have watched maybe the first season or two of it, and I tried to get back into it during the pandemic, and I just couldn't finish it. There was just so many other things going on. But the Clone Wars movie, if you watch it on its own, it's pretty bad. It's very messy and clunky, and the animation is just not the strongest. Now, again, to its disadvantage, you could tell that it was clearly made for television, and the movie was not intended to even be a movie. It was just 3 episodes meshed into one. But it's kind of unwatchable, although it is very crucial because it did introduce us to a very pivotal character in the Star Wars franchise with Ahsoka Tano. So there is that, but if I'm being honest, this is the movie that I've gone back to the least of all the movies, even the ones that I'm not as high on. So I feel it's safe to say that Star Wars The Clone Wars is going to be at the bottom. Does anybody disagree with that? Is anyone really going to veto this early in the draft?
Athena, you have double the vetoes, so if you want to address it first.
No, I understand where you're coming from. I don't know if I would put it all the way at the bottom, but I don't really disagree. Like, I guess, I mean, honestly, I can barely remember it. So that tells you how much I've watched it, which is kind of sad because I watch Star Wars all the time. But yeah, I don't really disagree with you, Brian. I think it is kind of like, it's kind of out of place. It doesn't really fit into the other movies that we have, and it doesn't really stand out, I guess.
Exactly. Veronica, you just watched this today for the first time, right? Was it your first time?
This was my first
What
time.
did you think?
I knew of its I definitely knew of the show, and I knew of the movie's existence, which sort of just serves as a pilot for the show. And I know that the show is very well acclaimed. Like, a lot of people really love it. I haven't had the chance to watch the whole show, but so I was like, okay, this movie will be an introduction. And yeah, first time, finished it like a couple hours ago. If I had more than one veto, I might veto this here. It was fine. It was like, it was not. There are some Star Wars movies that are, I'm not going to say offensive, but there are things I actively hate within them, and like there was nothing here to.
Okay, this isn't an offensive movie. I have to address it. It's fine. It's just like
it doesn't stand out.
No, yeah, for sure.
And also you could tell that this was very last minute put together because this was clearly going to be just like the TV stuff, and then they're like, well, let's bank on it, let's put it in the theater, and it made money, but like. Who talks about the movie? Everyone just talks about the show instead. But I guess they combine this with the show and everything. So
well, yeah. I mean, even just watching it as an experience of just watching a one-off movie, it was like, yeah, nothing special. It was the sort of normal like quippy one-liners and action. That's just kind of one thing happens after another. But I mean, kind of a lot of the movies are like that, and some of the movies have overarching problems that are much larger too. So for me, this would definitely not be the bottom draft. I mean, it's not too high up for me, so I'm not gonna,
Where
it's not like in the middle of my list. But I had this somewhere around like the 10th pick, so like 2 spots up. But
Interesting.
so yeah, I'm not gonna waste a veto on it. But this was not nearly as bad as I expected. And maybe that was just lower expectations because I know that everyone is like, yeah, this is basically just a basic pilot for the show that eventually gets much better. So I knew that it wasn't all that well liked, but I was kind of like, I mean, compared to some of the other stuff, it wasn't all that bad for me. But
Listen, I'm willing to hear
not too
your
bad.
case when you draft because you're obviously next. But Athena, did you watch the full Clone Wars show?
I didn't finish it, but I watched it as it was coming out with my little brother. My brother's 6 years younger than me, and I feel like he was more at that age where it was like it was more marketed to boys, but obviously girls watched it too. I kind of just watched it when he did. I wasn't like super invested. I did end up trying to rewatch it as an adult during lockdown, and I got through like the first couple seasons, and it's good. It's definitely good. But I think I still gravitate towards like the older Star Wars movies just because kind of like Veronica said, it's like in your DNA when you grow up with it. It's always on. It just feels like a comfort movie. But then there's also every time you watch one of the older movies, there's always something like new that you notice, I guess. So for Clone Wars, like yeah, I've seen it, but it's not I wasn't always a huge fan of it. Like I wouldn't be mad if my brother had it on the TV, but I wouldn't be overjoyed to see what would happen next if that makes sense.
Right.
That's the other thing too. You mentioned watching it with like a younger sibling, and I think and now again, I love and respect animation as a medium. It is a medium; it's not a genre. All of that, but there is something about putting all of this into animation and a quite crude animation at that. This is from what I hear, it got better with the show, but there is something where like it's almost a little less jarring to have a story that's just kind of it's a little goofy. It's pretty free flowing. There's not a whole lot of ideas to it. It does feel like it's more for kids, that's almost it works a little bit better when everything it looks like that and is consistent versus like some of the stuff that happens, particularly probably in the prequels where you've got like a real human performer with something that looks like crazy, like a crazy CGI cartoon kind
Totally
of thing.
fair.
So
Yeah.
like it didn't like there was less that I bumped up against with this than with some of the other movies. So it's just an easier watch for me that I had fewer issues with, even though there's nothing really to latch on and really love.
You know what? Totally fair. Totally fair. Well, it's
But
at number 12
I
anyway.
accept it. Yep.
It's at number 12 anyway. Okay, so now we're going to you. What is going to be the pick at number 11?
All right, number 11. This would have been my bottom one, my bottom pick. As I said, there are things that just I actively dislike within this movie. So I am going to take the most recent movie that we have so far, 2019's The Rise of Skywalker, because I won't get into details, but for the most part, I very much was enjoying this sequel trilogy, and I think that just a lot of things in Rise of Skywalker kind of ruined it, fell flat on its face. I really dislike the way that it undid a lot of the things that were established within Last Jedi that came right before this. The switch over to back to J.J. Abrams, which to me, for in a lot of his projects, I think it's very fair to say that J.J. Abrams knows how to start things really well and finishing them not so much. So bringing him back for the conclusion here, I think was just like a big mistake. This one just got so mired in like dealing with fan backlash and trying to do a lot of fan service that just felt like it was that was coming first and the sort of branding of it was coming first and the story was coming second. I just think that it squandered a lot of the goodwill and things that had been set up earlier. I don't want I thought it was an interesting idea that Rey, didn't have some great lineage, that she was just a normal person who could find this power within herself and anyone can use the Force, and to just somehow Palpatine returned. And guess what? He's her grandfather. Like, that is just the kind of worst of Star Wars. That is just its worst tendencies, where we have to make it all about, like, these specific characters. Everything has to branch out from that, or else people aren't going to care. It's got to be, so forced, no pun intended. And I just think that there's so much in this movie that does not work, and kind of retroactively makes some of the stuff that comes before it like seem worse. So yeah, this one for me is I'm not gonna say like I'm offended by it or anything, but it just was like, come on, like you just ruined so much of a good thing, and I think it just made the trilogy worse overall.
Well, Veronica, I was offended by it. It was horrible. I would put it in the bottom if
Yep.
I could. I totally agree with you. I think they set up so many cool things, but I think the one big problem that Lucasfilm had was there was no plan for this trilogy. They just flew by the seat of their pants. They had no overarching arc for each of these characters. Every movie, the characters felt slightly different. Like in The Last Jedi, Poe kind of came across as a jerk. I was like, what just happened? With Finn, he's force sensitive, but now he's not.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so confused. Like, just give us something concrete. And the fact that anyone could be a Jedi, that was so cool to me. And, wondering, were her parents someone, important, or did they have some great influence? No, they were probably just nobodies. Maybe we'll never know. And then it turns out, oh, you're a clone and all this. No, that's hot garbage. I'm sorry. And I told Bryan, I've had this conversation with John Boyega. I talked with him about this for like 20 minutes, and he totally agrees. He was like, it was a dumpster fire. And he literally said when they were filming that scene with Oscar Isaac, where he's like, somehow Palpatine returned, that he laughed. They had to do like, I think he said 32 takes or something ridiculous. Because he, like, even if he could get it right, then John would start laughing. And it was just like a mess. Like, they knew when they were filming this, like, this was going to be just not good. And I also, like, I agree with you. I feel like J.J. Abrams, like, he started off so strong and left us with so many questions where we were coming up with these crazy fan theories. It was so fun. I mean, Tumblr at that time was popping off, Reddit, Twitter. Everyone was like, who's it gonna be? Like, is he gonna be a Jedi? Is she gonna take down Kylo Ren? Are they gonna be a couple? Like, we all wanted to know what was gonna happen. And then it just was like this huge anticlimactic, just wah, wah, wah. And we're like, what was that? I literally remember being in the theater, and at one point I just crossed my arms and I was like, I'm done. I don't even want to see the rest. I've seen the movie, I think, twice my whole life, and I'll never watch it again. The second time I didn't even want to watch it again. That's how angry I get about this movie. I hate this movie. And poor Daisy Ridley too, because she, like, when they first screened it, she literally left the theater crying. Like, that's ridiculous. Your lead was just totally, I don't know. They squandered it, and then the whole, like, oh, Ben Solo, like, saved her, but now he has to die. Okay, right when his character became extremely interesting, you killed him. That makes no sense to me. I have so many thoughts. I'm sorry. I'm just, like, rambling, but I do have so many thoughts about this movie. Yeah. If anything,
I agree 100% with everything you said.
I'm glad. If anything, I feel like what would have made more sense is if Rey had sacrificed herself, and then Kylo becomes Ben, and he's, like, totally changed because of her sacrifice. I don't know. I feel like that would have made more sense, but they can't kill her off because they have to use her for another movie. So they had to kill him off. I don't know. That's just me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Bryan?
I don't really know how to follow up that, to be honest. This movie, like, when it came out, and I saw it opening night with all my friends. I remember it was senior year of college, and I wasn't really excited for it. I was just like, all right, we'll see how it wraps up and everything. And there are moments in this movie that I genuinely do really like, but most of the moments in this movie that are good are so, like, they're quick. They happen, and then we move on to something really shitty. Oh, somehow Palpatine returns. Oh, they fly now. Great, wonderful. Oh my god! And here's
the Chewbacca fake out. I forgot to mention that one. Oh my god!
Cut the cameras. What are we doing?
Terrible. I hate when any movie or TV show does that. Like, they want you to have this emotional cathartic moment or make you think you've lost something. Like,
oh,
nope,
you mean what Stranger Things just did recently?
I didn't even watch the
How
last
about
season of Stranger
Twilight?
Things
How
'cause I
about
was
the
sick of
last
that
Twilight
shit.
movie? When they pretend everyone got killed, and then you're, like, crying in the theater, and they're like, oh, it's Alice's vision. Cry me a river.
Man, that would have been such an all-timer. I remember seeing that moment in the theater, and I was like, oh my god, am I actually invested in what's happening in Twilight? I was like, wow, this is... Oh, okay, it's all a dream. Okay, anyway, back to Star Wars. This movie is... It's gotten worse and worse for me as the years have gone by. And again, when I first watched it, I didn't hate it, but I was disappointed. And then I watched it again, and just the disappointment kept growing and growing and growing. And J.J. Abrams wasn't even originally supposed to even do this movie. That wasn't even the plan. Originally, it was supposed to be Colin Trevorrow, and then they fired him because like they didn't like the film that he made prior to him hopping on to Star Wars. And then they're like, "Well, we have no one else to bring on, so let's just get JJ." It's it, the whole thing was a mess. I hated what they did with all these characters. I agree with. I think Athena brought it up. Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, like he was getting very interesting. To me, the strongest element of the sequel trilogy was Ben Solo, not only because my favorite actor played the character, but genuinely his character was the most interesting because as the movies were getting crappier, his arc was getting more interesting, and then they squandered that, as Athena brought up. It's really disappointing. There are some cool moments in this movie, but there's not enough to warrant it to be higher. So I do think that it being towards the bottom makes complete sense. And I remember in the trailers when they were hyping up that whole duel sequence in the rain, and I'm a sucker for any scene in the rain, whether it's a fight scene, a kissing scene, just anything. Like I love sequences in the rain. Oh God, they just like really fumbled it big time, and yeah.
And I think it's hard to measure and compare sometimes because like J.J. Abrams is a very competent filmmaker. Like a lot of the filmmaking here is much better than some movies that are going to be ranked higher on this list.
100%.
But like that does not a movie make. Like if you sacrifice character, story, anything that any of the momentum that you had built for fan service and brand management, it's just like it's going to fall flat on its face. Even if there are moments in the movie that are perfectly entertaining to watch, it's just not going to all hang together.
I also think too, like even reflecting for him, I mean, I don't think he was happy with how it turned out either. So it seemed like nobody was happy with it.
He was more worried about his reputation, Brian. He wasn't worried about okay. My whole thing is, I feel like, first of all, who's to blame? Kathleen Kennedy. Okay,
Yes.
She's to blame for all of this because how do you not have a plan? Second of all, I feel like kind of what Veronica brought up earlier, which is, we had him do Force Awakens and then this garbage movie. And he's retroacting everything that happened in The Last Jedi. And he's going like, nope, you're wrong. Nope, that's not possible. I felt like it was just like him and Ryan, like he was just like duking it out with Ryan Johnson. And Ryan Johnson's just like, dude, I can't, like, whatever. The movie's already made, like, be mad. And it was kind of just J.J. Abrams being a little brat. I'm sorry. That's
sure, yeah.
I just and I have like a funny little
Lucasfilm should have
story.
had a larger plan overall when this
100%.
began.
Absolutely, that would have.
I mean,
fixed
Athena
this whole
literally
thing.
said it at the start. Like, if they had just had a plan, this entire trilogy would have flowed so much better. It would have been more coherent. And because they were clearly just so hungry to rush everything out without having a coherent plan. Like, people could dog on the prequels and everything, but at least there was a plan. There was a beginning, middle, and end.
Thank
with
you.
That.
Yes.
Just let George Lucas be a madman and handle the whole thing rather than this back and
Yeah,
forth.
maybe he shouldn't write the dialogue, but other than that, it's fine. I was gonna say a quick funny story that I had at Star Wars Celebration in London 2023. We were all waiting at this like big stage in the like expo hall, so you could just walk right up to it. And Hayden Christensen was supposed to come out, but I've heard he's a little bit of a diva and he's always late. And so he didn't come out for like 30 minutes. They're like, don't worry, we have a different special guest coming. And we're all excited. Who could it be? Oh, Ewan McGregor? Oh my God, who's it going to be? Kathleen Kennedy walks out and the crowd was cheering and then it just went, oh. And it got quiet. And this was like hundreds of people. Dead quiet when she came out. So that just says like how Star Wars fans feel about her. And I'm glad, like, she's done some great things like Indiana Jones, and other projects too, but I'm glad that she's no longer in charge.
From what I understand, she helped greenlight Andor, so I can't totally hate her, but we're covering movies, not TV right now, so.
Yeah, that's a different story.
Again, not every decision that she made at Lucasfilm was bad. It's just that when the film stuff, it's very questionable. All right, so we have Rise of Skywalker at number 11. So, Athena, we're going to go to you. So, what are you going to put at number 10?
Okay, I'm not sure how you guys are going to feel about this, but listen.
Is this going to be where we have our first veto?
I don't know. I don't know if anyone cares about this movie enough, to be honest with you. And I think that's why I'm putting it here. It's Solo. Did we
Yeah,
need this movie? Not really.
yeah. This is a perfect spot for it. I'm just gonna say it right now.
It
I don't
wasn't.
like Solo. I don't like this
I mean,
movie.
it's not that I don't like it. I don't love it. I don't love
I don't
it.
like it. I'm gonna put my
That's
foot down
fair.
right now and say that I don't like it.
But see, I
Go
didn't
ahead.
hate it.
But go ahead. Explain your thoughts.
So I didn't hate it when I saw it in the theater. It was fun. It was a fun watch, but no substance. No real like reason behind why we made it other than let's make some money and some fun merch. Like I don't really know why we made this movie and fans didn't really ask for it. So I don't know. I also just think like it's so cheesy when they're like, what's your last name? And he's like, and they're like, oh, are you Solo? Whatever. He's like, yeah, Solo. Like it's giving like at the end of Rise of Skywalker when she's like, who are you? And she's like, Ray Skywalker. And you're like, what? Like, why can't you just be Ray? Just be yourself. Like, and I don't know. It just felt a little cheesy. I mean, I like the parts of him and Chewie. Like, it's very cute. Like, but other than that, there's no substance behind this movie. You watch it once, you don't need to watch it again.
My favorite thing about the movie was something that I knew was going to work from day one when they announced it, and that was Donald Glover as Lando.
Yep.
To me, that was
Yes.
when they announced that
Yes.
casting. I was like, okay, now I'm actually interested in watching this Han Solo movie because from the very beginning, I'm like, I don't need a fucking movie about Han Solo. I don't enjoy when they give us movies or TV shows that give us a backstory of these characters. I don't need to know anything about them. And I know that this is a different example and everything, but when they made Wonka with Timothée Chalamet, a movie that I actually do like, I'm like, I don't need to know Willy Wonka's origin story. I'm totally fine with what we had in the Gene Wilder movie, and I know that in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory we get elements of him as a child. That's a completely different thing. Like that's fine, but like I don't need a full 2 hour plus movie about the origin of Han Solo and how he met Chewbacca and how he got his last name, and it was just such a mess. And on top of that too, and this is also partially the blame to Kathleen Kennedy, they were like a majority of the movie was shot. Phil Lord and Chris Miller directed it, and then they dropped them, and then poor Ron Howard had to come in and finish the movie, and you could just tell that it was such a mess because you could sense that something was off. Like it wasn't a clear, concise tone. You could tell
Yeah,
that
it
you were
wasn't
watching
cohesive.
exactly. You could tell that you were watching two movies in one, and it also just looked so drappy. I didn't like the visual flair of it. I didn't like the
The
yellow.
costumes on
It
a lot
just
of the
had a
other
very
people.
off. It had a very off filter look, and I didn't really vibe with it. And there were things about it that worked. Donald Glover is awesome as Lando, and that's to me the strongest element. And as much as I love Woody Harrelson, and I do think that like on paper that's a great casting in a Star Wars movie, I didn't really vibe with his character. I just didn't care. Like honestly, I've only seen this movie once. I saw it when it came out, and I haven't watched it since. That's how, like you said, Athena, how forgettable this movie is. And again,
Yeah.
if we're gonna do a Star Wars anthology story, I would have appreciated if we were following new characters that or a new story that we weren't accustomed to. Like I don't need an origin story of Han Solo. Like as much as I love that character, and also this is no disrespect to Alden Ehrenreich, no one could play the role like Harrison Ford. Like you
I
think Han Solo,
agree.
you think of Harrison Ford, and not that Alden was bad. He wasn't bad. He did the best with the material he was given. It was just not that great of a film. It was very messy and jumbled, and honestly, like you could say all your grievances with Rise of Skywalker, but at least Rise of Skywalker had a bit more memorable moments, for better or worse, than Solo. Solo, there's like I could barely remember anything about the movie, and that's
You
just my
could argue
opinion.
though. You could argue though that Rise of Skywalker, the memorable moments are literally just fan service. They're like
No,
reaching
that's
for
absolutely
nostalgia.
true.
At
That's
least with
absolutely true.
this, like it was kind of new. It just didn't land, I think, because of kind of what you said. Like it was a mess to create it. But also the casting was kind of It was all right. I don't know if he was the best actor we could have gotten to play Han Solo, but also how can you replicate Harrison Ford? You just can't.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
tough.
Yeah, I
But
totally
but
echo everything that you both said,
but
and
Donald
yeah,
Glover was awesome. I
oh
stand
yeah,
by
yeah, yeah.
that.
He was great. Yes.
I didn't have to. I same thing. I think I saw it when it came out in the theaters. I maybe watched it once since then, but it's been a while, and I was gonna give it a rewatch if I had time, but I ended up just watching like a recap video, and yeah, I was like, the only thing I even remember from this really is the Lando stuff, and that's just because that casting is so
Oh
great.
yeah,
He's
him
so
and the robot
charismatic.
too. Like the him and the robot. Who was the? It was Phoebe Waller-Bridge,
Tubular
right?
Bridge, I think, and then
Yeah,
she becomes
interesting.
the ship, and they're like kind of flirty, like okay, love
Very
is love, I guess.
very bizarre. Very
Okay.
But
odd.
yeah, and yeah, I just nothing else stood out from it. Definitely, I remember the Lando stuff, and I remembered the like eye rolling, like oh, that's how he got his last name stuff. Which it's like you don't need to explain every single detail about this
Yes.
character. Like it's just it's not interesting at some point if you're not going to give us just some insight into who he is as a person and not all of these inane little things. So yeah, this is I maybe would have had it a spot higher, but this is totally a solid spot on the list for it.
All right. Now we go to number 9. We go to me.
It's your pick. Yep.
I just
Oh
feel
boy,
like
I'm scared.
we haven't gone to the chaos yet. I don't think this spot will be chaotic.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of what would be next. I think now we finally have to start getting into the prequels. I think now is the time to bring them up.
Rip off the
Uh,
Band-Aid.
I'm going to draft at number 9, Attack of the Clones, which is to me the worst of the prequels, the least interesting of the prequels, the most forgettable of the prequels. There's moments in it that are pretty great and everything, but overall, I'll be honest, of the prequels, this is the one I've seen the least. And anytime I go and watch it, I pretty much forget it like hours later. And honestly, because I haven't watched it in so long, I don't have a ton to say about it. It has sparked great memes, as has all the prequels and everything. But this one is just the epitome of very forgettable Star Wars for me personally. So I'm gonna have Attack of the Clones at 9. Veronica, you just watched this today, right? You just revisited it today. So for you, where does it rank for you? Like, what's your stance on it?
Yeah, it had been so long since I saw any of the prequels, although I think that Revenge of the Sith is just a little more present in my mind. So yeah, for Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, I was like, gotta give these a rewatch. And I'm not gonna veto because I think that it's not a major difference ultimately on the list. I did ultimately. I don't know. I think that I had it in my head that I think the general consensus is like both Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, like a mess. Like the effects, the story, the George Lucas dialogue, we all know that stuff is really, really rough. So I was prepared for that. And I think that watching Phantom Menace, I think the consensus there is like, well, it has moments. It has like the pod racing, it has the Duel of the Fates, and then Attack of the Clones. I was like, I don't know of anything that is in that's memorable, that is a highlight and everything. So I think that maybe my expectations were a little set that way, and I think that Attack of the Clones lived up to my expectations, where Phantom Menace fell a little short. So again, they're sort of like they're two sides of the same like coin riddled with issues and moments. So I don't know. For me, Attack of the Clones was a little more of like an even watch, where like Phantom Menace was like way uneven. So I would rank that a little bit higher, but it's still it is what it is. Like we have the crazy effects. This one has less Jar Jar, so that's a plus. I just enjoy like the design of Naboo and everything, even though if everything doesn't look great. You get the Detective Obi-Wan storyline here, tracking Jango Fett, and I'm kind of just more interested in like the older version of Anakin, where again, even though it's terribly written, terribly acted. The poor guy, was in over his head. Hayden Christensen. Like, I'm a little more interested in that shift of like, oh, okay, like the scenes with him and Natalie Portman. If they were better executed, they would be really interesting. I would be really into that love story developing and the way that he's his darkness is creeping in, and well, it's a little more right on the surface because of all of the issues. But I don't know, something about that is just a lot more interesting than like him being this plucky little kid. So yeah, it was almost like I could see a better bones of a movie here, even if it fell short. But again, it's not a major discrepancy between the two for me.
Athena, how about you?
I don't really disagree. Like, I would have it low as well on my list. And kind of like you guys said, it's not the most memorable, but no one's mentioning the Battle of Geonosis, one of the most
Hmm.
memorable Like, not just
True.
like moments in the prequels, but Padme's outfit. Hello, like that is one of the best Star Wars outfits that we have had for
Yeah.
women.
The rip that
I know
automatically makes it a
people.
crop top.
Yes. Oh my god. Like
Amazing.
when it was all ripped and then she's bleeding on her back. Like, oh my gosh. Yes, girl. Get it.
That is camp.
But
Like that's like a truly camp
it's
moment in Star Wars.
right, and I love it. I love everything about it. But yeah, I agree. I feel like the effects are kind of like they're not great, but I do love like the Naboo stuff. I think it's pretty cool, like to see that planet more. But yeah, I agree with you guys. I feel like it's low. I saw it in theaters a couple years ago, and I was like, oh boy, I remember this being better. But I think because when it came out, I was a child, I liked
Yep.
it better as a little kid than as an adult, which is fine. But I don't hate it. It is one I would still rewatch because, like you said, it's very campy and a little bit silly, and it's not as dark as Revenge of the Sith. Like that one has like some really sad, dark moments. This one's just kind of like, a lot of battles. Obi-Wan investigating and stuff is really fun. So I agree with the placement of it. I see where you're coming from. I'm waiting for us to really disagree. I don't know.
Maybe that will happen next.
Oh
Yeah, when we get
no.
into the mid-tier stuff. All right, my pick next.
Yes.
Okay, well, based on my comments, I don't think it's too much of a surprise. I think I'm gonna go with Phantom Menace here. And like I said, rewatching the prequels, I thought I was prepared for the issues. I think that like even and I'm not a super like not a very visual filmmaking kind of person. Like I'm always much more focused on story and character, and like I can watch a well written movie even if it looks like shit for whatever reason. Like I'm usually forgiving of that. This one it is like so distracting how bad everything looks, that it's hard to like take it seriously, and it's especially hard as the what was the big comeback of Star Wars, and I like again I was a little child when this came out. I certainly don't remember like being disappointed by it or anything, but like I can't even imagine the reaction that this had at the time, because it's just again I said like it's this is the one that for me was most jarring, like the CGI effects of there's a lot of alien things going on, and like they just look so crazy next to the human characters, and it's hard to get into. It's like kind of a barrier of entry to me to even like care about it, and I'm a little not interested in most of the stuff going on in Tatooine with young Anakin, as we're creepily getting him like being in love with Natalie Portman when he's like a child, and it just even the and again like I had said going into this, I was like, oh, everyone's like, at least this one has the pod racing. The pod racing has it's the action is so weightless, everything looks so fake that I wasn't even all that into that, and it's kind of odd for the original series. Its effects are so tactile and everything, and like sort of analog in certain ways, and it's weird to have some of the like they keep some of those sound effects, and some of the sound design is pretty good, but it feels like such a disconnect when that's coming out of images that look so fake. So yeah, I had trouble just like, and again, lots of Jar Jar. Listen, when I was a little kid, I thought Jar Jar was so funny. I was like, I definitely had like I think I had like a Barbie of Jar Jar that was like,
Oh my
this big.
God.
And I thought his like ears flapping around were fabulous. I don't know. When I was a kid, it worked for me, but I was like, God, this is just, there's a lot of Jar Jar in this. Holy shit. It is like, he's like, maybe a fifth lead of the movie, and it just doesn't work in any way. You do get Duel of the Fates at the end, and throughout the movie, I think Liam Neeson innocent. I think that he has like brings the perfect vibe and gravitas to this role. And like if he had stuck around longer, that would be cool. And yeah, Duel of the Fates, awesome, but it kind of has that one scene for me, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, Duel of the Fates is awesome. Liam Neeson is great. I like Ewan as well. I'll just say this,
Yeah.
like
He had less to do in this one, but yeah.
Ewan to me was the consistent pro of the prequel trilogy, but also Ewan McGregor is one of the most talented people ever. So naturally, of course, he's going to always excel. But yeah, again, similar to Attack of the Clones, like I mean, I think that this one is definitely more memorable than Attack of the Clones because of everything that you brought up, the pod racing, the Jar Jar, the Duel of the Fates, the Darth Maul, all that stuff and everything. But yeah, the entire movie, similar to Attack of the Clones, it all just looks fake because there's so much CGI. And there's nothing wrong with a lot of CGI, but you have to use it in a way that makes it feel earned. You have to ride a fine line with it. And everything just looks so artificial and very like computer generated. There's a lot of over choreography with like the fight sequences and everything. Like everyone's flipping around. It's like, all right, let's settle the fuck down. Like, let's relax. Not even people that are trained in this in real life can do that many flips. Like, let's calm down. And I know we're supposed to suspend our disbelief when we're watching something called Star Wars, but it's like,
Yeah.
it's too overwhelming to a certain degree. And yeah, and listen, I know that he was just a kid and everything, and like I feel bad, especially with the backlash that he had received. And I'm never gonna be like, oh well, that kid should never act again. And you can't entirely blame him. Jake Lloyd is, unfortunately, his performance sticks out like a
He
sore
gives a
thumb.
perfectly fine performance in Jingle All the Way, the Arnold Schwarzenegger masterpiece. So I think he was
Well, it
let
helps
down by
that
the
he worked
script.
with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Here he's working with just a bunch of CGI crap. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, not only that, but the dialogue that he's given isn't good. I think he did a
Yeah.
really good job with the dialogue he was given, because when you're told to say stuff like that, you're like,
He did.
"Ah,
He
okay."
did his best. Ultimately, I mean, everyone did.
Yeah.
Like everyone did their best with the material that they were given.
Yeah, and he had a lot of midichlorians, so
Yeah.
Can't deny
midichlorian
that.
count was high, real high. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't hate this movie as much as other people do. Like, I don't hate it. Actually, I don't hate it at all.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it either. I think I have it as like a 2.5 on Letterboxd, which means I'm like very down the middle with it. But there's just not a lot of it that makes me go, oh, this is something that I would revisit. Like even like
Yeah.
I'm not saying I would revisit it like every 6 months or whatever, but every once in a while, like I never have the desire to going back to this. From time to
Oh.
time, maybe like every few years, but it's not something that I could frequent to like other films in this series.
Yeah, I feel like I only go back to this film because of the nostalgia aspect of like being a kid and being like, oh my god, there's a new Star Wars movie, like how exciting, and then you watch it. And as a little kid, everything is like, whoa, and exciting. And obviously now as an adult, when you watch it, you see a lot of flaws. But like the Darth Maul lightsaber reveal, like that was crazy. When the second blade comes out and you're like, what just happened? There's so many good parts, but then there's also a lot of cheesy stuff. And, I do also think there's some weirdness going on with Anakin and Padme. Like the fact that she's like, how much older is she than him? Like 10 years or
I
something?
believe so.
Or maybe
yes.
it's not that much. I don't know, but I thought it was around
There's
10.
definitely a gap. There's a bit of a gap.
There's a gap, and I feel like, yeah, like he had like a little boy crush on her, but does that really mean he would like fall in love? I don't know. I don't know if I believed that he would fall in love with her so quickly, like with the other movies. I don't know if this movie set it up enough to where you're like, oh my god, he always loved her, because like you're 9 years old. Like I don't think
Yeah.
you know what that is, and she's just being nice to you, and he probably hasn't had someone pretty and like giving him any time of day because he's a slave, which is horrible. But I don't know if I just feel like this movie, I rewatch it only for the nostalgia purpose, but also I don't hate Jar Jar Binks, y'all. Okay,
I don't
love
hate
him.
him either.
I
hate
love
the fact
him.
that the actor who played him was like sent all these threats, which I mean, unfortunately, he's not the
Literally
only actor that that's
suicidal,
happened to. Like, it's like, why are we sending threats to actors? That has always pissed me off about this series and
Oh, yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Send the threats to the creators. Don't send threats, but you know what I mean. Like if you're gonna send them, put it where it should go.
don't
Not
send it
he
to
didn't
the
create this
actor.
character, and
Don't
he
send
probably
it to
didn't
the
even
actor.
know. Like think about this. He probably didn't even know what Jar Jar was gonna look like. He's just told, "Oh, talk like this and act like this, and then you're gonna be this cool new character." Like at the time, that was what they thought would be well received and popular, and they were gonna make
Yeah.
toys of him, like you have,
Mhm.
Veronica, and
Yeah.
put him on, I
It
don't
worked
know,
for me then,
Pepsi
yeah.
cans. Yeah, like it worked. Clearly, people bought these things, but the adults, I just want to say, the adults in this fan base need a reality check. A lot of them, and I'm an adult too, but I'm talking about the toxic adults, mostly the men. They need a reality check because it's supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be, we debate each other, but you don't need to send threats and you don't need to make everything about you and make it super political. Like, these movies are already political on their own. Like, we don't need you guys to make it, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like
for sure.
every time a movie comes out, they have something negative to say, and it's like, but why? Why can't you just be like, oh, it wasn't for me, but, it's Star Wars, it's fun. Like, let's just enjoy the movies for what they are.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my hot take.
I had the thought during this one, and again, to my untrained eye, I mean, effects are kind of bad across the board in both of these, but to my eye, Attack of the Clones did seem like a decent enough improvement. Like, I think it's way cruder in Phantom Menace, and Bryan, I know you'll appreciate this. I had the thought that going back to it, it was like, and I saw the TV glow when he revisits the show later when he's older, and like the effects are like so goofy, and I was like, I thought I knew what this looked like, but it looks so much worse.
That's so spot on.
It looks so much worse than I remember, and I think a lot of what I was thinking of is more in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and like it was just so jarring to me to watch Phantom Menace, and like I was like, this is really like what they went with for the big Star Wars return, huh? So yeah, it's just kind of just weird to me on that level.
That's what happens when you give George Lucas all the power.
Yeah.
He's great, but he needs to be like, tone it down. Let's rein it in,
yeah.
George. You did a little too much here.
A little too much indeed. All right, so that is going at number 8. So Athena, we're back to you. What are you going to put at number 7? We need to get
tough.
Chaotic.
We're getting into like the mid tier.
I know. Okay, I debated on this one, but I think I have to go with The Last Jedi, and it's not because I don't like it. I do like this movie, but I feel like tonally, it's so different from the other two in that trilogy, and there are some moments that I don't like. Like I mentioned before a little bit, like Poe's kind of like a jerk in this. Like, they make him so unlikable, and you're like, what happened? Poe was not like this in the first movie. That's a big issue for me. The other big issue was the Leia stuff, where, like, she was in space and they thought she was dead, but then she has the Force, and it was
flying around.
I know, and I see what they were trying to do with that, and I appreciate it. And yes, I did, have a little tear to my eye, only because I missed Carrie Fisher, but I wasn't like blown away. The one big thing I was blown away by was the throne room scene where Kylo and Rey fight together. That was where I thought, like, oh, here we go. Like, this is interesting. And then, obviously, of course, he's like, join me on the dark side. And she's like, bruh, I put lip gloss on for this. Space lip gloss and mascara, okay? And he still was not ready to come to the light side. So, yeah, I have some issues with it, but I also still love it, and I do still rewatch it a lot, actually. But it's not my most rewatched, but it's up there.
Veronica?
I feel pretty much the same. I kind of this is sort of the beginning of my like mid tier, so these are ones that I like significantly more than everything else we've talked about so far. But it is the lower of that mid tier, if that makes sense. So yeah, this is a movie that I fundamentally really like, and I think it's got so much great stuff in it. I just think there are like a couple big asterisks, like big notes that I have. And yeah, one of them is like, I remember the Leia moment feeling really like, ooh, it's a little I don't know, too eye rolling. I don't like anything pretty much that happens on the casino planet with Finn and Rose. Yeah. And this is kind of the beginning. Yeah, this is kind of the beginning of Finn just being sidelined.
That casino shit was fucking ass. That shit sucked.
It wasn't
like even on the first viewing of this movie, where I'll get to it momentarily after Veronica gives like her spiel and everything, but like from day one, I've hated that casino shit. I've hated that shit.
And like, it feels like a downbeat for like Finn as a character, because he's so featured in Force Awakens, and it feels like he's just getting a little sidelined. And if the third movie had picked him back up in some way or tied him back in a little better, which of course, as we talked about, it totally doesn't. It sidelines him even further, and Rose as well. So it's just like it's like the beginning of the de-evolution for that character. And then the Throne Room is great. I do think it's, again, sort of something that could have been better modulated in the next movie, but this is kind of like Kylo starts just like flip-flopping a little too much. Like it's just
He's
a bit
indecisive. What can
yeah,
you say?
it's a bit hard to like track his, being pulled to the light side versus the dark. And I know that's obviously that's a theme throughout Star Wars, like in its entirety. But I just think that the way it starts to get executed here is could maybe be a little better. And then like something like Luke's death, I think is. I don't know. I feel a little mixed on it. I like that they killed him off. Like I think he sacrifices himself for the newer generation. Like I think that's all
Yeah.
well and good. I from what I remember, and I didn't get a chance to rewatch this one either. Although I watched some recap stuff to refresh myself. But I just kind of feel like I was talking to my dad about this the other day, and he was like, "What? So what happens in the end of that one?" I was like, "Well, Luke dies," and he was like, "Well, how?" He's like does the force ghost kind of thing to distract them, and I was like, "Yeah, how does he die?" Like I couldn't remember exactly how it all played out, and it's like I feel like Luke Skywalker's death should have a little more impact than that, and it's ultimately just the weight of whatever force trick he had to pull kind of takes him out. But I don't know. I just kind of feel like that maybe could have been hit a little harder. There could have been there's just certain things that like in the execution that are not always so as strong as they could be. I do really like I said, that this sets up that race parentage is not important. That I love the closing shot of like the little kid who uses the force for a minute. Like that's just such a cool concept to introduce, and I just love the message. And again, I really like the bones of this movie. There's just a few quibbles throughout, but like overall, I'm definitely really positive on it.
Something I do really love about this movie is the ending when they're on that planet, the salt planet. It's called Crate.
Yeah.
That design, like the planet design, was really, really cool. And
It's
they had
so
those
cool.
like ice fox things. Like, I thought that was really well done. And I think the effects on that planet were really well done. And that battle between Kylo and Luke at the end, where like you can see the red salt when he's like, scraping his foot on it. I just thought like the design, the set design and the sound design and all the effects were pretty good in this, other than the Leia thing. That the effects on that were not good. But I do appreciate that there was more detail on this new planet that we only see in this one film. I thought that like really stood out to me.
And it has porgs. Porgs are great.
It has porgs. Yes, we love porgs. Except for when they're eating one of them. Wasn't it Chewie that was eating one of them?
Yeah.
R.I.P. to that porg.
I have such a conflicting relationship with this movie because when it first came out, so looking at my letterbox, so when I first saw it, I gave it a 4-star. I saw it a second time, I bumped it up to a 4.5, and it was a 4.5 for a really long time, for about 2 years. And then I rewatched it right before Rise of Skywalker came out. I bumped it down to a 2.5. So
Wow.
my opinion on this movie,
What happened to you?
honestly, I think it might have been a case of like the fans get into my head, and admittedly, like it's gone back up a bit for me. It hasn't gone back up super high, but there's just things about the casino stuff really boggles the movie down for me big time. Like that is like everything else I was into, even with the flaws, but the casino stuff I genuinely think is horrible. I think that storyline is so bad that if it weren't in the movie, everything would be fine. And listen, I love Benicio del Toro in anything. More of him in any movie, yes, please. But that entire segment had no purpose to the story at all. There was no need for it to exist, and it just boggled the movie down and what it was trying to do. Kylo's indecisiveness, okay, that was kind of an interesting arc and everything, but there just wasn't enough oomph to it. The stuff with Luke, I actually stand by really enjoying all the stuff that they did with Luke here, how they made him very vulnerable and angry and bitter and broken. I really loved seeing that side of him. And Mark Hamill has said his piece about this movie throughout the years and whatever, and that's his opinion. But I actually really think that his performance is so unbelievable in this because, again, we've never seen this side of Luke Skywalker before because he was the heroic, optimistic boy, and now he's this broken human being because he feels that everything that happens that was bad was his fault. And I loved that. I loved that element. I just wish that we were given a bit more with it. And I do really admire, despite the fact that not everything lands, that Rian Johnson swung for the fences. He literally could have just stuck with a formula, but he's like, I'm going to incorporate things, but then I'm going to add my own spin to it. And I really admire him for that. He could have just made a run-of-the-mill, formulaic blockbuster where he was going by the book, and he chose to do his own thing. And sure, maybe it didn't stick the landing entirely, but I appreciate him for doing something like that. And again, like you brought up the crate stuff, Athena, and that stuff was really great. I stand by that stuff being really awesome. The design of that planet was unbelievable. The imagery in this film, I really the sequel trilogy, but particularly Force Awakens in this, outstanding. It looks gorgeous. It's shot beautifully. I love how they shot on a lot of locations, and even the locations where they clearly shot on soundstage, it doesn't look fake. It doesn't look like the prequels where you could tell that they were on a green screen soundstage. You felt like you were, and I do like that they actually went to locations. They shot in the desert. They shot in these, like the place where Luke is. They went to an island in Ireland and they shot there. And to me, that's awesome. I think that's so cool that they did that. But yeah, there's a lot about Last Jedi that I certainly admire, but there is also a lot that does frustrate me. And, you know, I wanted more with Snoke. I really don't like what they did with him.
We should have feared
ultimately.
him more, I think. I think they should have built up that, like, the fact that Kylo cannot get out of this grip that he has on him. Because I read the prequel book that explains, like, how Kylo got involved with Snoke and how he was basically talking to him in his ear, you know, since he was, like, 5 years old. So the fact that he's been, like, manipulated by this evil, you know, man or whatever he is, for so long of his life, because now he's, what, like 30, I think, at this point? Mm-hmm. So, and to have his parents, he said, like, as a kid, like, he felt abandoned because his mom was off doing political stuff, his dad was off doing illegal stuff, and then there's just him sent to his uncle, and this one person is telling him, oh, you're so special, you're so much better than all these people. I think any child in that position would feel the way that he felt and go with this guy, and now he's indebted to him for life and he can't get out of it. I feel like they should have really built that up more, because the only reason I know a lot of those details is because I read the book. I read Bloodline, and also like the comics that came out about Kylo around this time too, but they don't really show, like, the stakes aren't high enough, I guess, between him and Snoke. Like, I think the stakes needed to be higher for him to, when he kills him, it's like a huge, like, whoa. I mean, it was still shocking to me, but I think they could have done a better job with making it a higher stakes moment.
Yeah, you hype up this casting of Andy Serkis to play this Star Wars villain, and Andy Serkis is the GOAT, he's the man, and then they don't do anything with him. And I don't like that at all.
I mean, he was there.
Yeah, he still got to do his thing. For me, that's something
Not
that,
enough
like,
of it, though.
it could have been, I think it would have aged a little better if things were better executed in the film that followed this, because I think that's kind of one of the things that Rian Johnson is going for in this one, like kind of cutting out the legs of things, of our expectations and the weightiness here in the world. Like, I kind of like that he was built up to be this big bad in The Force Awakens, and there's all these fan theories. Oh, Jar Jar Binks is a secret Sith Lord who's controlling Snoke, like all of that stuff, all of the expectations and the theorizing that goes into it. I kind of like the idea that, like, this is an alien who can just be killed. Like, it's not, no one is ultimately like all that power. Everyone is vulnerable. Like, I kind of like going for that. I just think that you would have had then to go further and build up an antagonist in the next movie who was going to be a little more cathartic to build up and defeat and explain, rather than just going back to Palpatine as going back to the well for that. So I feel like if this had been like played out a little bit further, I wouldn't mind the shock of losing our big bad, you know, halfway through the trilogy. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't executed the right way. No pun intended.
Yes. One last thing before we move on to the next one. I think we're all fans of Laura Dern as an actor. How did we feel about her inclusion in this?
She was annoying. I'm sorry. Her character, and that's the thing, is that I feel that her character and the character of Rose were written really poorly, and they came across as like these, like, oh my god, whiny, bratty, and Laura Dern's character.
And Laura Dern can play whiny and bratty well, but you have to give her a reason to earn that whiny and brattiness.
She's like a brand new character. Like, at least like give us some, like, I don't know. I just felt like, why are we listening to her? I don't understand why she's in charge. And I kind of agreed with Poe where he was like, I'm just going to do my own thing. And then, she gets mad at him and whatever.
Well,
But I just
no one
feel,
tells Oscar Isaac what to do, right, Veronica?
no, but
I
I
mean, a
feel
lot of people
like,
tell them what to do in movies, and it usually doesn't go well.
yeah, it doesn't. But I feel like in this, yeah, her character was not great. And I also feel so bad for the actress that played Rose because
Yeah,
we were
absolutely.
all so excited to have a
Tanya Tran,
female Asian character at the forefront of this
And
franchise.
that was her first
then,
movie, right? That was her first role ever.
yeah,
Like
I think it
to
was
have
like
your
her
first
first
role be a
big.
Star Wars movie, that's a dream for any actor.
Yeah, and I feel like it wasn't her fault completely of how her character was received, but
It wasn't
I mean,
her fault that
partially
it wasn't her fault at all, unfortunately.
it was partially little bit, but I feel like she could only do what she could do with the material they gave her, and the
Right.
material was not great that they gave her. And I also really do not like the kiss between her and Finn. I was like,
Yeah, no, that was
I literally
fun.
went, oh, why are we doing that? No. I don't think he wanted that. And also, like, yeah, he didn't.
What is the line that she says? It's not about saving the. I don't even remember. It was just.
Oh, I don't. And then she goes,
It's about saving the people you
and
love or
passes out.
something. I'm like,
Something
all right,
about that.
I'm like, is that a Ryan Johnson written line, or was that a line that Kathleen Kennedy forced down his throat to
But
her?
that wasn't the worst line. The
Oh, no,
worst
it's not
line
the
was
worst
about
line.
the casino. When she says, I want to put my fist through this whole planet. I'm sorry, what? Like, are we like 5 years old? Like, it's just her character was so poorly written, and I felt bad for her because they should have just, I don't know, they should have just written her better, or don't include a character if you don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't help that they're just like on their own little side quest, and they're not really incorporated into
Yes.
the larger story. So it just feels all very disposable, and you're not really interested in what's going on with them when you're with them.
If that sequence wasn't in the movie, it unfortunately it really wouldn't have made much of a difference because it felt like a deleted scene that they're like, oh, let's tack this on to make the runtime longer.
Yeah, and then
But-
for Laura Dern's character, I remember like enjoying the scenes between her and Poe. Obviously, I mean I love Laura Dern, and obviously Oscar Isaac. That needs no explanation. But and she gets the cool moment with the Holdo maneuver at the end. But it does feel all a little manufactured for them to have a conflict and a disagreement over strategy, and then just he respects her by ultimately making a sacrifice. Like it was fine. It just wasn't necessarily anything groundbreaking. Like we've kind of seen this a million times in Star Wars and other stories.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Right,
Is that
all of
it?
Last Jedi?
Have we gotten everything we wanted to get off our chests about The Last Jedi?
I don't know how much
Think
time
so.
you guys have. I'm gonna just stop talking because I think that we'll be here all night.
Well, with that, we'll move back to me for number 6. I keep on saying, let's get chaotic. I'm sorry to say it. I don't think the chaos will happen yet. Although, I'm not certain where the two of you stand on this movie. So, for number 6, I'm going to put Rogue One on the table. This was a very anticipated movie for a lot of people because this was the first Star Wars anthology. This was separate from the main episodic storyline, and a lot of people were very fascinated when they announced this was going to be all about the team that took the Death Star plans. I'm like, okay, that's actually a really cool idea. Again, a part of me was like, I don't want to know how they did it, but I'll watch. And I love this cast so much. I love everybody in this ensemble. That has always been my favorite thing about this movie. Felicity Jones, Diego Luna, Riz Ahmed, Forrest Whitaker, Donnie Yen, just to name a few people. There's so many wonderful actors in this ensemble, and I think that everybody brings their A game. What I will say is that the characters, while I certainly cared about them, I do feel that the writing, the characterization wasn't the most compelling. Like, I didn't necessarily care too much about what happened in their end game, but I was really interested in seeing how this storyline would unfold and how they got these plans. And then, similar to Solo, this had a very messy production. I don't think it was as messy as Solo because, the directors weren't fired during production. Like, we had one director the whole time that they shot it, and then they went in to do reshoots, and then they brought in Tony Gilroy to take over and do his stuff and everything. And then, they added the Darth Vader stuff, which, is it fan service? Yes. Is it good fan service? I would say so personally. The Darth Vader stuff is pretty spectacular. I don't care. It works for me. I know for some people it doesn't. I think it's wonderful. I think it's great. It's awesome. But overall, Rogue One, I liked how it felt more contained and grounded compared to the other Star Wars movies that we had gotten. I just wish that I was a bit more invested. I like the movie overall. I am a fan, and I've been a fan of it since day one. Admittedly, my liking for it has fizzled a little bit, but because I haven't watched Andor, I feel like my liking for it could go back up once I watch that show. So I like Rogue One. I understand this might be low for you two and everything, so I'm willing to hear your arguments, but for right now, I am going to put it at number 6. I'm going to let Athena go first. I want
Yeah.
Athena to go first with this.
Here's what I have to say. We're
Finally.
done. You're
Our
done.
first- okay.
That is just. I don't care if you don't care about the characters. You're not really supposed to. They're not gonna live the whole movie. That's the whole point, Brian. It's supposed to set up everything in between that we went. How did this happen? It fills in so many gaps in the best way possible. I mean, there's so many ways this movie could have gone wrong, and it didn't for me. And I do care about the characters, but that's just me. I do really like seeing how people joined the rebellion and were kind of like reluctant, and then there were people that were like so gung-ho about it, and at the end everyone is just like, they all have one goal, and it's a team of underdogs, which is so interesting to watch. And also, once again, amazing planet design when they're on that planet at the end. The name is escaping me.
Scarif, I believe.
Yes, Scarif. And it's like this tropical planet, but then there's all this battle going on, and you're like, how are they gonna pull this off? And somehow they do. And then to top it off, the giant cherry on top of this delicious Rogue One sundae is Darth Vader. Like that, I had chill. I think I cried. I had chills. It was epic. I was like, oh my god, like this is insane. So I veto that. I think like that's cute that you have that opinion, but you're done. And also you haven't seen Andor, so you're done.
Listen,
we're gonna have to move that up.
I'm not as on top of television as I am with film. Okay, I'm every few months
That's
a
okay.
TV bug will come, and I do want to watch Andor. I really want to watch it, but for some reason I don't know why. I'm just like, there's just other shows I want to watch first.
I get that, and I watched Andor and I didn't finish it the first time I watched it because I was like, I don't know, it's kind of slow and whatever. And then I went back to it and I finished it, and now I appreciate it for what it is. But I still feel like Rogue One, I have heard from multiple Star Wars fans, and I know some big Star Wars fans, that is their favorite Star Wars movie. It is not uncommon for me to hear that from people, and it's not my favorite, but I respect that. I would say for me, it's top 3. Like, that's how much this movie impacted me, and how much I think, like, also, I saw it in IMAX, 70 millimeter, so I think that probably impacted my opinion on it. But it is a beautifully, beautifully made movie. I cosplayed as Jyn Erso, by the way, at the last celebration. So yeah, I love this movie. I don't know. Okay, after I veto, what do I do?
We're gonna talk about it higher up. So Brian, you have to replace it with a pick.
All right. Well.
What's the replacement here?
I guess I'm going to go with what I thought would have been at number 5. Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Okay.
Explain yourself.
I rewatched Return of the Jedi last week, and easily, I think for a lot of people, it's the weakest of the original trilogy. That being said, it rocks. It's great. I don't think it's as strong as New Hope and Empire, and we'll get to those when we get to those. But this movie, here's the thing. Like, let me explain this real quick. 6 and above, I like to love all these movies. So, like, Rogue One being number 6 for me doesn't mean I dislike it. I also, again, haven't watched it as much as the other 5 movies that we haven't drafted yet. But Return of the Jedi, again, like, I've watched it so much throughout my life, but I could safely say that I haven't watched it as much as New Hope and Empire. That being said, though, it's a very good ending to the original trilogy. And obviously, when this came out in the 80s, a lot of people thought this was it. People didn't know when Star Wars was going to come back into the stratosphere. And obviously, it took a little over 15 years for it to come back. And there are certain elements story wise that I'm not as fascinated with this movie as I am with the other two. But this movie has the Ewoks, and they're great, and I don't want any slander to them. Endor is a beautiful location. I mean, they shot it literally in a rainforest, in a natural forest in California, and that's pretty awesome and everything. Everything with Luke and Darth, love that so much. The Jabba the Hutt stuff is pretty cool, but admittedly, it's not anything that I've ever really loved. I've never been blown away by that, probably because to me, Return of the Jedi really kicks into high gear when everybody is back together. And it takes a while to get there. The build-up, it takes its time, which is appreciated, but it's also like, all right, everything at Jabba's palace just isn't that great. And yes, we get Slave Leia, and everybody knows how everyone feels about that. But that being said, to me, it's just not as rewatchable, as the other Star Wars movies. I would watch this more times over Rogue One, but then the other 4 Star Wars movies, I go back to those more than this one. So if Rogue One is not going to be 6, then I'm putting the 6th Star Wars movie at 6. Veronica?
I echo a lot of what you say here. I probably would have had it like a slot higher maybe, but it's again, we're splitting hairs here. At this point, this is all, I probably would all agree that these are all movies that we like to really love. So, it is just kind of a personal preference. So yeah, I totally agree with everything that you said. This obviously concludes the grand first trilogy. Certainly would find it the weaker of the 3. But it's hard to have qualms with it. It's just the fact that it doesn't quite live up to like 2 of the best movies ever made. Like that's a hard bar to clear.
That's
so,
exactly it.
That's rough. Yeah.
Can't be too mad at it. So yeah, this is I would have had it maybe slightly higher, but I'll accept it here.
Athena?
I don't really disagree because I feel like out of the original 3, this is probably my least favorite. Not that I don't like it. I do. I saw it in theaters last year, I think. But obviously I've seen it before that. But like first time seeing it in theaters was last year. And I just remember it being kind of like a little cheesy, the end when they're all partying with the Ewoks. It's cute, but it's not.
It's a little much in my opinion.
It's a little cheesy.
But it's nice. It's endearing after everything that
It's
happened
cute.
throughout this trilogy and everything.
It's a little too
Very
G-rated.
cute.
Like
It's lacking a little bit of, not substance, but you know what I mean? Like it's lacking a little bit of depth. Not that there's none, but it's just, a little bit. There's a lot of funny moments, like with C-3PO and the Ewoks, and they like are praising him like a god, and that's really funny and all. And then like, the Force Ghosts at the end watching them. Like you said, Brian, we thought this was gonna be the last of the Star Wars, so they were wrapping it up and leaving it on like a lighthearted note, which I appreciate. But I do feel like the other 2 just stand out so much more. When you think of Star Wars, maybe you think of Ewoks because they're cute, but you're not thinking of this movie as the best. I don't know anyone that thinks this is the best Star Wars movie, and I think there's a reason for that. So yeah, I don't disagree.
I'm sure there's someone out there that has like they're like,
There's
my
gotta
hot
be
take
one.
is Return of the Jedi is the best Star Wars movie of all time.
And you know what? That's okay. They're right. That's their opinion, and I don't want to yuck somebody's yum.
I've come across
I
many
love that
hot
for
Star
you.
Wars takes in my real life. Nick, who's been on our show a few times, his favorite Star Wars movie is Rogue One, but he's also not really a Star Wars fan in general. So like, Rogue One just happens to be the one.
That's what I love
for him.
about that movie, and specifically the Mandalorian TV show, which I know we're not talking about on here, but those 2 titles are what created new Star Wars fans, and there's a lot of reasons for that, and I think it's so easy for someone to just jump into that movie or that TV show and not know anything Star Wars and then go, oh my god, wait, I've been missing out. And then they start, watching all the Star Wars stuff. Like I know a lot of people that are new fans of it because of one of those 2 titles. And yeah, I don't know. I just think that they're well done and I like those stories. But this story obviously is a classic with, our original characters and everything. But I don't disagree on where you're placing it, and I'm good with it.
All right, sounds good. All right, Veronica, number 5. What are we
Number
gonna do here?
5 on the list. Okay. So as we talked about, all movies we like. We're splitting hairs here. I don't know if this is going to be controversial or not. Maybe we're in agreement, maybe not. Think this is where I'm gonna throw Revenge of the Sith. Any immediate objections to that, or shall
I
I
don't
continue?
know.
Okay.
Spiel.
So
I want to
Spiel.
hear. Yeah.
so I'm thinking my thinking on this is like by far the best of the prequels. I think that's pretty much a
Wow.
consensus.
Wow.
And yeah, I know, getting really hot here. And yeah, this one is like for sure my most rewatched of definitely of the prequels. I don't know, maybe overall because this was like this came out. I was probably about 7 years old or something like that. Like this one, I clearly remember going to the theaters to see. My sister dressed up as Darth Vader. She was really cute. It was great.
That is so cute.
I had a Leia costume that I wore for Halloween. I don't think I wore it to this though. So, not thematically relevant. So I remember seeing this just like this was like the height of cinema. Like this was like whoa, seeing Darth Vader come to life, and as I said, that was just a character who had just always been around for me, and of course at that time I'm like Hayden Christensen, like give him the Oscar. Like I just thought that was that he was just
And
so
they gave
powerful.
him a Razzie instead.
I got something. So yeah, I think that obviously as we've all gotten a little older, obviously we know that the prequels are riddled with issues throughout, but I think that this one holds up the best by far. There are those moments. There is Anakin's character is again, while not the best executed through the writing and the acting and everything, it's like the beats are all there and everything plays out really well. It's got really big moments. The General Grievous fight, and then of course the Mustafar battle with Obi-Wan and Anakin, and the you want to talk about memes, like my god, that's where maybe most of the whole you have the high ground. You were my brother.
From my point of view, the
so
Jedi
good.
are evil.
Yeah.
I hate you.
So it's
Yes.
it has those moments, and it's like it's the kind of Star Wars at its most operatic. It's like on the highest gear, and I think it's best that way when you're not going to go for something subtle and nuanced and brilliant like Andor. If you're not going to have that, then you might as well have this. So
Right.
This is where it goes for me.
Yeah, when I was, because I think I was around the same age. I think I was like 7 when this came out. My second crush by this time was Anakin. Okay, not Hayden Christensen. I wanted Anakin, and I had not put the dots
Definitely.
together that he was going to become Darth Vader because I'm 7 years old. Okay, I don't
I can
know.
fix him.
I can fix him. And my mom was the one who showed me Star Wars, and my dad loves it too. But my mom and I really bond over it. She's the one that goes with me to Celebration. We cosplay together. She never she'll let me watch movies and just let me come to my own conclusions. She wouldn't tell me, no, this is what happened. Like she'd be, whatever. And so when I went into this movie, I really just thought they're gonna fall in love, they're gonna be happily ever after, and then obviously none of that happens. And I remember when he slayed the younglings, Order 66, and I don't even think I could see the screen anymore. I was crying so much, and I just looked at my mom. I said, he's bad? And she's like, yes, honey, he's Darth Vader. And I went, no, because I was like, we have to get a divorce. Like, I can't marry this man. I thought we were going to get married. That's what a little 7-year-old me thought. And I love this movie. I think this is my most rewatched out of the prequels. I mean, obviously, it has to be. But there are a lot of moments, that are a little, like I said with Return of the Jedi, a little cheesy, which is okay. I think some of the dialogue that's memeable is cheesy, but now we love it and we appreciate it for what it is. But I do think that they told the story of how he became Vader very, very well. I think that went across well. I think the love story was a little, I don't know. I think they could have done it better. Like I said before, I feel like it's forced and it almost felt rushed in this. Which, whatever, we can't change it. It's what happened. But yeah, I do think that this one is the best of the prequels, and I think it does have the most stakes because all the Jedi are being murdered. Basically, it's horrible, and yeah, what's the future of the Jedi gonna be now with Order 66 going on? But yeah, I think it set up how Vader came to be and like that whole backstory and everything. Answered a lot of questions for fans, which is good. But yeah, I don't disagree with where you put it. I think it's fine. I might have put it one higher, but I'm not gonna veto.
I am.
Gotcha. Oh, veto coming in.
Oh!
Yeah,
Interesting.
Okay.
sorry.
All
This
right.
is sorry. Rogue One is not better than Revenge of the Sith. This is where I put my foot down.
Well,
Revenge
yeah,
of the Sith
there's-
is fucking incredible, okay? It's incredible. But I'll say my piece when we get to it eventually.
Yeah.
All
okay,
right.
well, I have a couple options for replacement then,
Oh
but
boy.
Oh,
let's
no.
see.
I don't know. Maybe,
I'm scared. I'm gonna have to use my other veto.
Finally, this is where the chaos ensues.
We're just gonna veto,
This is what I've
veto.
been waiting for the entire episode.
I am gonna bring Rogue One back here.
Okay, yep.
Is that,
Oh,
Fine with
is that
me.
standing Athena?
feel
or do you
sick.
Fine
want
with me.
I feel
up even
sick. I can't use my veto on the same thing.
Twice on
Oh
Rogue
my
One.
god, my
Yeah,
stomach.
you
I'm gonna
can't
throw
do
up.
that. That's not allowed. Actually,
you
I don't
can
think
if you
that's
want
an official
to.
review.
It's-
It's okay. I'm not because I'm scared of what's gonna happen in top three. Top three is, you know what? We'll let it go. We'll let it go. It's okay. It's all right.
All
Yeah.
right,
We
Rogue.
debated
I'm gonna
it
throw
for
Rogue
nothing,
One
but it's
here.
okay.
Did you give your thoughts on Rogue One before
I did
the
not.
veto?
No.
All right,
So I will.
go ahead.
I will
Floor is
top
yours.
it off here. Now, my beloved Andor. It's actually really interesting. What if I just take this time to like do a 2-hour deep dive on Andor instead?
Yeah.
Did you not listen to what?
Talk about how sexy
how
Cassian
they
is.
They literally did a Star Wars draft for the big picture so that Sean Fantasy could glaze about Andor for 3 hours. That's literally why they did it. So now this is your opportunity to glaze about Andor.
I mean, I have a podcast. Why wouldn't I? So yeah, I will focus it towards Rogue One analysis though. So it's really interesting that Andor sort of complicates and deepens my relationship with Rogue One, and it sort of simultaneously makes it both better and worse. I loved Rogue One when it came out. I was like, this is so cool to get a standalone Star Wars movie that is just like a really great watch in and of itself. You don't need much backstory other than, you know, obviously it's about the Death Star and getting the plans for it. And it's really well done. It's a really cool war film. Like there are tons of action sequences in here that are, you know, don't look very fakey like the prequels and are pretty grounded and well choreographed and all that. There are a lot of characters. It's maybe hard to give everyone their moments to deepen them and have them shine, but for the most part, I think they juggle that pretty well. So I always liked it. Andor comes out, and it's like, it makes Rogue One better as a movie because there are, you know, for Cassian, for Krennic, like all these characters who kind of just were, you know, you were just all on the ride with them for a 2-hour movie. Now I have so much attachment and baggage with them in different ways, and I'm thinking of all of the things that happened throughout that series, that all of the near misses and what ifs that led to these exact people being in this exact moment, and it's so powerful that way. And there are moments like that within this movie. Like there are just little things that could have happened like a slightly differently that would have changed the entire outcome of the entire galaxy. And, you know, obviously it's just good plotting and good writing and everything. So it deepens it like that. But it also, you know, I watched this when I finished Andor season 2 because this is essentially the finale. Like this is where that main character ends up, and it sort of pales in comparison just because it's not, you know, it's sort of retroactively like dealing with all this stuff, and you just can't, all of the things that went into that series are now, you know, you have all that in your head, but now you're just watching Cassian be, you know, this Han Solo-esque kind of guy who's a little gruff and, you know, has his heart's in the right place, but you just sort of watch that all play out as, you know, and it's a little more standard, it's a little more conventional. So it's interesting. It's like I think that it stayed pretty solid in my estimation throughout because, like I said, it sort of just added to its ups and downs. So I really love this movie. It's maybe a bit more complex, but it still stays as like a rock solid Star Wars movie for me.
I can't believe that I bring up this ensemble of actors and I forget to bring up Mads Mikkelsen. I am such a fake
course,
Mads
yeah.
Mikkelsen fan for not bringing him up. Although I am
where
just
you
waiting
been?
for the day where he is a part of a big studio franchise where he's not playing a troubled guy or the villain and everything. He's always I want him to be a good guy in these big budget franchise because he played the Bond villain, he played the Marvel villain, he played an Indiana Jones villain, he played the Harry Potter villain. Like and he played the troubled guy in the Star Wars film. It's like, can the guy play someone down to earth and humble in an
not a villain
American
in this,
film?
like,
Yeah, he's
really.
not a bad guy.
No, but he has, unfortunately gets stuck being associated with the bad guy. Like, that's the thing that's
He made
unfortunate.
the
Yeah,
Death Star.
but-
Does that make someone a
Oh,
villain?
also, Ben
Yeah.
Mendelsohn, by the way, is great. He's awesome.
Oh yeah.
But I think
Oh my God,
his
top
character
tier.
is great because it shows like how a good person can get stuck in this horrible situation.
No,
and then
I understand that, but I'm just saying that I want him to play like no ties with any bad people. Like, I just want him
that
to
would be
a-
boring. We need a little spice, you know?
Yeah, but
Can't
the only
be
time he plays a
bland.
good guy is when he's in movies in his native country. That's it.
Turn on
Yeah,
the
very good
subtitles.
Hey, listen, he's amazing in Another Round. Have you seen that, Athena?
Oh, yeah.
Another
I
Round.
have not. I
It's
have
a great
not.
movie. Put it on your watch list.
Okay, it's getting longer every time we talk.
Rogue One also is just like, it has to be said, it kind of serves as, it's like the best explanation of a plot hole ever. Like,
Yes.
why does the Death Star have this, kill switch that will just destroy the entire thing? It's like, well, Mads Mikkelsen's character was sympathetic to the rebellion's cause, and so that was inserted there as a desired to be used in that way eventually. And again, that sort of Andor built upon this even more, but that's sort of like relay effect of like, one person has to do this, which can lead to that, and maybe that connection gets severed at some point, and the revolution never ends up happening. But like, rebellion is just a series of decisions, and that's really, it's felt here, even though it's even better in Andor.
All right, I think we said our piece about Rogue One.
Okay. So it's staying there at 5 after being bumped up. Now it's Athena's pick. You're up next for number 4.
Oh boy. I feel like you really can't go wrong with what we have left, but I'm going to have to put Revenge of the Sith there just because I do feel like the movies that we have left are better. And we've all already said our piece on how we feel about this film, but it is.
I have not really said my piece, but
yeah,
go
you
ahead.
Oh, okay. Please.
No. What you were saying. Finish up your statement, and I'll get.
No,
to my,
there was nothing else to say to that. I was just talking.
Okay. So like Veronica and like Athena, I remember going to the theater to watch this. Like, it was honestly, it stands out as one of the most unforgettable movie going experiences I ever had in my life. Because I remember I went with my parents and my grandfather and my aunt, and I think family friends came along. My sister didn't come because she was never into Star Wars, never has been, probably never will be. So that's okay. That's totally fine. But I remember going to the theater and watching this. And when you're, a kid and you're about to watch, again, like, we brought up before that we thought Return of the Jedi was it. Everyone was certain that this was it. This would be the last Star Wars movie ever. They built it up as the final Star Wars movie ever. And honestly, I remember when it ended, there was just this feeling of like, fuck yeah, we just witnessed this great movie. But there was also sadness because people were like, this is it with Star Wars. We're not going to see these characters ever again. We're not going to get more stories in this world. Obviously, we didn't anticipate that would happen. But to me, yes, the dialogue is not great. That is still a consistent problem with this original trilogy. This prequel trilogy. Admittedly, the dialogue is less intolerable here. It's much more tolerable here, and Ewan McGregor's awesome. Natalie Portman, give or take, she's always great, but some performance decisions aren't my favorite. Hayden Christensen, I actually don't think he's bad in the movie. I rewatched the movie. It got re-released last year for its 20th anniversary. I went to the theater to watch it, which was really cool because some parents brought their children to go watch it, and you could tell that was their child's first time watching it, and I'm like, man, just to like experience this movie for the first time, I would kill to be in that position again. And then, of course, everybody cheered when the younglings were killed, and I'm like, you guys are fucking
They
sick.
cheered?
Oh, no.
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we gonna do? Click lightsaber. Everyone cheered.
Oh.
I'm like, are you guys like demented?
That's cold.
Yes,
Like,
the answer is
what?
yes.
That's so sick. But
I would have
there's so-
maybe giggled, but not.
I
a
mean, I
cheer.
lightly giggled, but I was also my jaw was just dropping because I thought everyone thought that scene was sad. I'm like, there are people that think that this is funny.
Oh, it's
But there are
terrible.
random moments throughout the movie that are actually really funny and iconic. The Grievous stuff we brought up before is really great, and then Obi-Wan just emerging and then just doing the iconic "Hello there." Ewan's delivery of that is so spotless. It's so perfect. The man could do no wrong. The Mustafar battle, despite it being similar to the other battles, very over choreographed, where there's a lot of lightsaber moving around, and it's a lot to digest. It's like, all right, could we just like tone it down a little bit? And there's jumping around and flipping and kicking and punching, and it's like, all right, let's relax. But it's so great though. It's just so great. And when you watch it like again, multiple years after seeing it like previously, you're just like, man, this is just so good. Like, how did we get here? Like, the prequels, nobody ever thought that they were gonna get better, and yet it ended on a really strong note. And it's a very effective note too. And people make memes about the whole like, oh, I hate you, Obi-Wan, blah, blah, blah. But that scene, when you look at it from a context, it's so devastating because Obi-Wan was supposed to protect Anakin. That was his mission, was to protect Anakin, lead him to the light, make sure he was doing good. And he felt like he failed, which he, to an extent, he kind of did fail. And I really like that, the way that it's conveyed in Revenge of the Sith. And the 5 minutes we get with Vader, it's awesome. But him screaming no does take me out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. It's a little too silly, even for my
Yeah.
liking. But that being said, I do really love Revenge of the Sith. It's not a 5-star movie in my opinion, but it's top 4 Star Wars for me. So
I think we
yeah,
have to remember something though, because you brought up that Obi-Wan, like that was his like job, was to protect him. He didn't even really believe in this kid though when
that's
they first
true.
found him. And Qui-Gon was the one that was like, no, like we have to do this, like he's the chosen one, all this stuff. And then it kind of gets thrown onto Obi-Wan. So then it's like he's doing it because he loves his master and he wants to do what, he wants to finish what he wanted to do with his life. So I feel like it's probably even worse for him in that moment because he's like, I was trying to do the right thing here for
Right.
my fallen
That's
friend.
what makes it even more
It's
devastating.
even worse.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it
exactly.
wasn't even like, oh, my bad. Like, this was my decision. It was like, this is someone
Right.
else's,
But
life
he felt
mission.
like because of everything that happened, he's like, I couldn't do anything to make it better. Like it's
Well, why do you think he does what Luke does, which is go into hiding and just, live in his little robes? Like, that's
yeah,
kind of it.
and then they gave us an unnecessary television show. But again, we're talking about the films. We're not talking about the TV.
Yep.
I was just
But
gonna
yeah,
say, yeah, if we're talking about shows complicating the relationship to the movie, at least this one comes after, so it's like you don't really have to think
Yeah.
about
that's
it. But
true.
Obi-Wan
That's
show
true.
was
That's
a
true.
travesty.
No, that show was the epitome of like so
We're not
much
talking
potential
about the
wasted.
shows,
I know,
Brian.
I know, but do you not realize how fucking amped I was when they said Ewan McGregor is coming back as Obi-Wan? I was like, I have wanted nothing more in this fucking franchise than for my guy Ewan to come back and play King Obi-Wan. And he was awesome. He jumped back into the role like he never left, but the show around him sucked poo-poo. Okay, Revenge of the Sith is at number 4. We're back to me now with number 3. So this is obviously, now we're at a point where it's pretty much, I would say, like, this is the easiest spot at the top 3. So this is where The Force Awakens is going to go.
I
Obviously.
thought I was gonna have to fight harder for it. I'm glad that it got up this high.
I
You know
am
what I'm
as
saying?
well. Because I was worried that you were going to put it lower. One of you was going to put it lower. So thankfully that
Not
didn't.
me.
Thankfully
I still
that
got my
didn't happen.
merch. I still
Okay.
got my Force
Hell yeah.
Awakens
Okay,
merch, Brian.
let's
I'm not
just
putting
let's
it
just
low.
get this out of the way, and I'm gonna try to condense this as possible, but I don't know if I'll be able to, so bear with me, please. Okay, so when they announced that Star Wars was coming back, I was like, oh my God, that is awesome. That is great. When they announced that J.J. Abrams was going to be directing this, I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is great. When they announced the cast and Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher were coming back and they added all these new people, like, I'll tell this story. So, Veronica, to paint you a picture, and I shit you not when I say this, I literally had watched Inside Llewyn Davis for the first time a week before they announced that Oscar Isaac was going to be in this movie. So I was already on such a high with Oscar Isaac at that point, and then when they're like, oh, he's going to be in Star Wars, I'm like, let's fucking go. So now everybody will know who he is, and then John Boyega and Adam Driver and then Daisy Ridley, who literally had no film credit to her name, And then they bring on Andy Serkis, Domhnall Gleeson, all these other people. I'm just like, everything is here for this to be awesome. And then the trailers came out, and I'm like, my expectations are through the roof. And then I went opening night, and I will tell you right now, when I sat in the theater, I thought I was in a dream. I was like, I cannot believe that we're about to watch a new Star Wars film with the original cast coming in, and it felt like it was, paying tribute to the original trilogy. It felt like we had never left. And The Force Awakens, I know that there are a lot of people out there that don't like The Force Awakens, and I understand why. At the same time, you are an absolute moron if you don't at least like this movie, because to me, this was the true return to form for Star Wars that a lot of people needed. Veronica brought up before of how it sucks that Phantom Menace for a period of time was the return to Star Wars, but this felt like we jumped back in to the franchise that we all celebrated back in the day. And to me, J.J. Abrams, despite the fact that where he ended the trilogy wasn't great, I think he started off this trilogy with a lot of promise. You could tell how much he loves Star Wars, and all of that was poured into every single frame of this movie. I loved what they did with the new characters. I loved the performances. The filmmaking in this is unbelievable. It's so good. I revisit this movie once every year. I haven't revisited it yet this year. I haven't rewatched it yet this year. But to me, this was a great start to this new era of Star Wars, because for a lot of people, like, yes, we were all like in our late teens, close to our 20s when this came out, but this was essentially the new Star Wars for some people. So this was their introduction to the series of seeing it on the big screen, and it was just unlike anything that I had ever seen. It was very surreal that this movie even exists, and it's sad that everything that followed this movie didn't match the quality of this. But if you judge the movie solely on its own, I think it's great. I think it's a great Star Wars film. I think it's a great film, period. And to me, this film, despite the fact that the trilogy has not aged well, I think that this movie has aged very well. For me personally, I loved everything they did with it. There are some little flaws I have with it, but there's so many things that I love. So this movie to me is fantastic. I love it to pieces. I always have to defend this movie with my heart. I'm not saying it's perfect, but for me personally, it was perfect. So, ladies.
I think it was perfect. I think it was a perfect Star Wars film, and I think that's the problem that people have with it, is that it was too similar to other It's Star Wars. Do you want it to be completely different? No, you get mad when they change it up.
That's exactly it. That's why people complained about The Last Jedi. They're like, oh, it's too different. Oh, Force Awakens too similar. What the fuck do you want?
This is what I mean when I said earlier.
Skywalker.
No, and like this is what I mean when I said earlier, like some of these Star Wars fans are so toxic that they will complain about everything. Even when you give them exactly what they want, they go, I don't want it like that. This movie was a perfect Star Wars movie. We had unknown people in the main roles, which is exactly what we should have in this type of movie. We don't need like very popular people in these roles because
it mirrored what the original showed. Nobody knew who Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher and Harrison. No one knew who they were.
They were all kind of like up and coming, and like yes, Carrie Fisher had kind of obviously been around because like her mom is very famous, but Harrison Ford was a carpenter. Mark Hamill, I don't remember what he was doing before this, but he, none of these people were well known, but now it was like they shot to stardom. But anyway, the Force Awakens, sorry, I almost said Last Jedi. Force Awakens, when that came out, I was obsessed. I'm not even joking when I say I was obsessed. The movie came out in December. My birthday is January. By January, I had a full-on Rey cosplay done that I had handmade myself from old curtains because I'm crazy. And my 18th birthday, which was that January, was Star Wars themed. And if you didn't come to the door dressed up in a Star Wars costume, you were booted. Guess who came to the door without a costume? My boyfriend. Guess who was single that same week? Him. So I don't play when it comes to Star Wars. If you don't share the love, seriously, I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, I told you, I gave you one rule. But anyway, beside the point. So I dressed up as Rey. My little brother was Yoda. It was just such a fun, exciting time for Star Wars fans. And I remember all the merch. I bought all the school supplies and I brought it to college and I still have it. I bought all the makeup and the lipsticks and the shirts and everything. I was just so like ready. I was like, I will like give my life for this new trilogy. And then obviously what happened after that was very disappointing. But I think what's really amazing about this movie is that it sparked so much love for the Star Wars franchise. It brought in new fans, it brought back the old fans, and we were all coming together and so excited to see what was going to happen next. We couldn't wait. We had all those crazy fan theories, right? I started a Tumblr page called 50 Shades of Ren. Okay, it's probably still out there. I haven't used it in forever, but I was 17 when the movie came out. Like, what else are you going to do? So, yeah, I think this movie altered my brain chemistry. Like, I'm not even joking. I loved Star Wars, but when this movie came out, I loved Star Wars. It became, like, in my DNA.
It was just like everything that I wanted Star Wars Episode 7 to be and more. Like, I was just like, I cannot believe that we're actually here. Like, the week that it came out, I'm like, oh my God, at the end of the week, we're going to have a new Star Wars movie. Like, and I remember the Thursday night, like, I remember that Thursday, I went to school and I'm like, I need to go home now so that I can mentally prepare myself for the movie. And I remember I went out with my friends. We went out for a really big dinner. It was great. And then we got to the theater 2 hours early because this was before the reserved seating thing. And we just stood online and I'm just like, I cannot believe that we're here. Like, Veronica and I grew up in the same hometown, so I'll just paint a picture. I went to, and I think I still have my ticket somewhere. I wish I looked at it beforehand, but I went to the AMC Aviation 12 in Linden, New Jersey. Opening night.
Probably where I was thought too. Yeah.
It was 7:30 at night. The regular screen. It was like Auditorium 12, I think, and it was just like. There are very few movies that I remember where I was, where I went, what time I went, where I sat. Deathly Hallows Part 2 was one of them, and this was another one for me. Like, I'll never forget being in the theater watching this for the first time, and then coming out of the movie just... And I don't cry a lot during movies, but I genuinely cried a lot during the movie. That says a lot for me as someone who never... cry. I get emotional easily, but I never cry. And the fact that I cried so much we haven't even really broken anything down because there's not enough time to do that. But so much happens in this movie that you're just so overwhelmed and you're like, I can't believe that this exists.
It just touches your soul, like, when you watch it. This is a movie that I rewatch all the time, especially if I'm, like, sad or I'm feeling sick or whatever. But there was a moment, Brian, when you're like, I remember exactly where I was, whatever. When Kylo Ren took off his helmet, you guys know the kombucha girl meme?
Oh,
she's
yeah.
Like, and then she goes, that was me. I looked at my mom, I was like, who is this? And then I went, now who was this?
Adam Driver, baby.
I was hooked. I was like, I must know everything about this man. I must know everything about this character. I got the comics. I got the books. I did all my research. I told you, this was like my obsession. People in my college thought I was so weird because my whole dorm was Star Wars, my bedding, my lamp, my posters. They were like, this girl's a freak. I'm like, I don't care. I love Star Wars. Get out if you don't like it.
There's just so many things. And I remember when I first met my college roommates and everything, and one of my now best friends, he's obsessed with Star Wars and everything. And I remember when we first met, he was like, something about Jakku, and I said, no, we can't go back to Jakku. Why does everyone want to go back to Jakku?
Veronica hasn't even gotten to talk because we've just been blabbing. Please, I want to hear.
Yeah, please,
I've been letting you go because I would have interrupted if I disagreed. I didn't disagree with anything that you guys said.
Good.
Yeah, this was just like such a moment in culture, like broadly, even for people who don't necessarily love movies, don't necessarily love Star Wars. Like, I just think that it was like a real touch point for everyone. And yeah, Athena, like you, my birthday is in January. On my birthday that year, I know my sister, I didn't have a themed party. You outdid me there, but I remember my sister got me like a banner with all the like Force Awakens characters. I had a Poe Dameron mask because my Oscar Isaac obsession had already started long before then. So yeah, I think that it just obviously the big like blinking red sign over this movie is like it's kind of a rehash of A New Hope, but who cares? Like, spoiler alert, A New Hope is a really great movie, and like, why wouldn't you? And it's not even a direct remake necessarily or anything, but it plays with a lot of those same beats and similar character archetypes. But like we said, this is Star Wars. Like that's what you want when you're and you want something that can translate to a more modern audience. Like obviously, I think that a lot of kids who, when they're younger, who didn't grow up with Star Wars, if they go back and watch the original films, it's like, it can feel dated. It can feel like the pacing is maybe different from what you're used to. Like, this brought Star Wars and all of the fundamental, the hero's journey, the character types that go into that, like, it brought it to a new generation. And I think that it, like I said before, like, he doesn't know how to end movies, but J.J. Abrams knows how to make a damn movie. And this one, just like the pacing, the way the characters are introduced, the dialogue, I think, is all, it manages that tone of being quippy and funny, but having some really dramatic moments that hit hard. I think that the setup of Kylo as the antagonist works well. I think Rey is an amazing character. This one, for something that I just think of when I think about the sequel trilogy, like, we haven't even talked about the music of Star Wars, which is like so completely
how have
integral.
we've gone
Yeah,
through
we haven't mentioned
entire-
John Williams at any point in this podcast, and
Well, we mentioned
something
Duel
that
of
stood
the
out.
Fates.
What's that?
We mentioned Duel of the Fates, I think.
That's true.
Earlier.
Yeah, which applies to the battle in the song. But
Yes.
something that stands out to me is just like Rey's theme, her musical
Phenomenal.
theme. Like it so, and I mean, John Williams is a genius. Like, newsflash, but the way that just it established her as like, this is our Star Wars protagonist. Like, I love her. I'm in on her. I want to follow her journey. And even though, as we said, it doesn't ultimately get a very satisfying conclusion, I was like, her performance, the way that she starts off and everything. It's just so. And again, is it kind of a rehash of Luke's story? Yeah, but like it updated it in a way that just felt so. It managed to freshen up something that is it's a story that goes back far beyond Star Wars. Like, we're talking about classic hero's journey stuff. So yeah, I think that this one is it's a movie that just, it flies by, no pun intended. And
no, it's one of the fastest moving movies I've
Yeah.
ever seen in my life.
It's so much
Yeah.
fun to watch and rewatch, and there's so many good lines, and just everything about it is so well done.
I think this is the funniest Star Wars movie. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but
Oh,
honestly,
really?
I think so. I laugh a lot during. I think
There's
it's
a lot of
because
good lines, yeah.
I think, like, I mean, of course, like, the other two that we haven't mentioned yet, like, there's comedy
Yeah.
throughout all these Star Wars movies, but I think for me, the comedy, like, doesn't, like, halt the movie. I think the comedy really benefits here. I think the comedy is well earned here and well established, and it doesn't feel, pun intended, it doesn't feel forced, in my opinion. So I really like how the comedy flows, and there are so many lines that do make me laugh, and there's lines that stick out to me. And honestly, a lot of the comedy, I think Finn is hilarious. I think he's great, and it's sad that again, you watch this movie and then you're like, we really fumbled the bag after this. Truly, like, this was so promising, and then it just really.
Yeah.
And
Like-
yeah, you've been like, the comedy is totally there, but then also, like, Han Solo is killed off in this movie. Like, that is
Oh my
a
God.
major
Okay,
risk,
when-
a major thing, and for it to feel
when
R.I.P.
when that happened, I was like, when I walked into the movie, I'm like, I have a theory that somebody's going to die, and I had a hunch it would be him.
Yeah, everyone was
but,
theorizing.
but I didn't know how it would happen. Obviously, I didn't predict that. Oh, Kylo Ren is Han Solo's kid. Like, that was a great reveal too. I thought that reveal was very effectively handled. But when that happened,
yeah, for the
my
to kill him
jaw
off
was
to
dropping
make,
for 5
to make-
minutes, and then the water works. I was like, shocked.
Dude,
to make
my
that choice and for it
mom-
to feel earned and not just like, we're gonna shock everybody with something, and that he has, like, he plays a real part in that movie. It's not like it's just a cameo.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then he's
absolutely.
gone. Like,
And
he's
great-
integral to the whole thing.
And he's constantly been like joking around about like, oh, I hate how everyone
Oh, yeah.
dresses me as Han Solo. But he actually gave a really great performance in Force Awakens. Like, he actually looked like he was really happy with being there and didn't come just for a paycheck. And I really respect that about him. And maybe he was there for a paycheck. I don't know. But honestly, I really liked what they did with Han Solo in Force Awakens. I don't have any complaints about that.
I do too. I just want to say, when he was killed off, my mom was inconsolable the rest
Oh
of the
no.
movie.
Yeah, I
We
can't
still
imagine what it
have
would.
the end of the third act, ma'am. Pull it
I can't.
together.
I can't even imagine what it would be like because I didn't watch this with my mom. I went with my friends to go watch this, and I'm just like,
Oh, okay.
because my mom went the next day, and I remember I'm just like, oh my god, my mom is gonna be crushed when she
Yeah.
watches this.
Oh my God.
She's gonna be. And my dad, who I brought up before, isn't really a big Star Wars fan, but he likes the original trilogy. He grew up with it. Even when he watched it with my mom, he was just like, damn, that was like really effective stuff.
It's a choice, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom. I just remember looking over. She was going ah, like literally, like she couldn't stop, and I was like, okay, I can't hear the movie.
Honey,
Like, let's
simmer down.
It was really bad, but we ended up like I went with my family because my whole family is a Star Wars family. Like this is just how we are. But me and my mom are like the main Star Wars lovers. But we always go together to all the movies. And yeah, I think I saw this one I think 8 or 9 times in the theater because I'm crazy and I obsess over things. But I think my mom and I went together like a good 5 of those times. One of those times I was very lucky to go and see it in downtown Disney when they used to have a movie theater there, and that was electric because you had Tomorrowland in Disneyland, which was Star Wars themed. This is before we had Batu and the whole land of Star Wars there. So it was like such an incredible time to be a Star Wars fan that this movie brings back so many good memories and just so much nostalgia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good.
A quick overview, and then we can move on from Force Awakens.
Yes.
Like we talked about a lot, but like to put it into context, like this is 2015. I think that we weren't like franchise fatigued out yet. Like it was so special to actually have something coming back after 20 years, having a really strong entry like this, and it wasn't the sense of like oh, we're gonna get this and then we're gonna get TV series and movies like ongoing until we all die. Like it wasn't a given, and this was Disney taking it over, and the first outing with that. So at this point, like the MCU was in full swing, but it was still very like momentous, and there wasn't streaming wasn't as prevalent. It was like you went to the movies, and this was something that was just it was monoculture, and like we have that so more and more rarely these days. So like this was just like the impact of this like can't be understated, and the fact that the movie was like good enough to withstand all that is like a huge testament to it.
Yeah. And it was just so massive. Like the movie it did so well critically. It got like all this acclaim. It was on a lot of people's top 10 lists. And then it also, it broke a shit ton of box office records. It's still the highest grossing film in the United States with $936 million. So it almost made $1 billion here in the States. And just alone, it grossed $2 billion. And right now it is I just had it listed. I think it's the 5th highest grossing movie of all time right now. So
That's
like
amazing.
it's excuse me,
Endgame
number
didn't beat
6. It's
that.
number 6, but hey, all power to
I
it.
contributed a lot to those numbers, so you're welcome.
I did too. Imagine if like AMC A-list was like around at this time. Oh, it would have been so abused. It would have been so
Oh my
abused.
God, I would have been there almost every day.
Movie Pass. Remember Movie Pass?
Oh yeah.
Yes, good times.
Good times. All right, so Force Awakens,
Okay.
number 3. So Veronica, what's number 2?
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, we're picking between two here. Again, this one is I think the most like it's splitting hairs. Like I think that just about any Star Wars fan could take or leave this, and the one
Yeah,
and two are probably the
genuinely,
same.
whatever ends up at number 2, to me, not a problem at all.
Yeah.
Because these are both 5-star movies. Just want to point that out.
Yep, I am going to slot here. This is where I would put The Empire Strikes Back, which is maybe widely seen as one of the best sequels ever. Totally fair. It's totally in that conversation. We talked about this a little bit on our direct sequels draft. I really like that this one had the guts to end on a downer. I kind of like when a huge blockbuster movie goes for that. I enjoy a lot of the Yoda Dagobah stuff. I like the expansion of the lore there, getting a little bit more, bringing that in, that mystical element, the spiritual element of learning about the Force and what a Jedi is really. So yeah, this is what else to say? It's The Empire Strikes Back. It varies if you're gonna go for this or A New Hope, but where do each of you fall on the one versus the two?
This
I
is my favorite Star Wars movie personally.
Yes.
It's number 1 for me. But at the same time, it's like It's not a bad number 2 though. That's the thing. If it were not in the
Yeah.
top 2, then it would have been a major problem,
Yeah.
quite frankly. But it's my favorite. I actually just went to go watch this in the theater last week. My local theater here in Jersey, in my town, they screen a lot of older movies, so they screened this on May the 4th, and it was so cool finally getting to watch this on the big screen, and with an audience too. Like it was really really fun, and this movie has maybe the most iconic twists ever in cinema. I said this when we did our sequels draft, and I will say this till the end of time. I would have killed to be alive in 1980 when this came out, to go into the theater when there was no internet and no social media, and then no people theorizing, and then it's like, oh, by the way, Luke, I'm your daddy, and then everyone's like, oh, what the fuck? Like, I cannot even imagine what that was like to be in that space and just be like, excusez-moi. But it's so good, and it's so much darker than A New Hope. A New Hope, not that it's not dark, but this approaches it in a much darker manner. And, you know, there's a bunch of storylines going on, but it never feels overwhelming. It never feels jarring. It doesn't feel jumbled. Everything flows very nicely. And, you know, they take a lot of risk with this movie. Of course, the Darth Vader stuff, of course, what Veronica brought up, ending the movie on a downer. It's a really dark ending. And I think about that every time I watch the movie. And when I rewatched it just a week ago, I'm like, yeah, this is a very bleak ending. Like, I mean, Han Solo has to sacrifice himself and freeze himself. Luke gets his hand cut off. He learns that he has a dad. His dad is still alive, and his dad is the person that they have to take down. And all
that
these
there's
other
another
things.
Skywalker.
And there's another Skywalker, of course. Like it just keeps building and building and building, and it's so good. It's so good. So yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say that hasn't been said about Empire. It's a masterpiece. It's incredible. It's my favorite Star Wars film. It's always been my favorite Star Wars film, and yeah, it's great. It's so good.
Athena, you do still have a veto left. Just saying.
I'm gonna have to use that.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to take that out real quick
I
because
never reminded you.
no, I you didn't have to remind me. It was already there in the back of my mind because I was like, this has to be number 1 because I agree with Bryan. I think this is my favorite, and I think it's the best sequel made in history. That's just my opinion. You don't have to agree, but I love this movie, and I love all the stuff on Hoth. That's my favorite Star Wars planet, and one day I will visit where they actually filmed. Mark my words, I will be there. In a very big jacket, but I will be there. And I just
Tauntaun sweatshirt.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole part where they have to cut open the tauntaun and like use the warmth of the guts, and like it's really like a dark film, but it doesn't feel heavy when you're watching it.
I don't like.
Yeah, when he's like, I didn't know they smelled as bad on the inside as they do on the
I don't
outside,
like
or
that
whatever.
moment. I loved when they parodied it. I want to take a brief minute to bring up the Family Guy parody episodes. Were so good, and I rewatched all 3 of them last week. They're so good, and they hold up so well for me. And yeah, they're perfect. Peter Griffin playing Han Solo is just. That's awesome. I love it so much. I like when they parodied when Han Solo freezes himself and they do the I love you scene. So in the movie, it's I love you, I know. But in Family Guy, it's I love you, fuck off.
It's almost like what he said in the
It's
movie.
so good. And instead of him like with his hands like this, it's him like his ass is hanging out and then his pants are down. It's really funny. It's so good. If anyone listening has not seen the Family Guy Star Wars parodies, listen, you don't have to like Family Guy and you could say whatever you want, but those parodies are actually really, really genius. They're so good. The first one is the best parody, but they're all good equally. I just wanted to take time to say that.
So you've both out vetoed me. You got your number 1 at number 1. Just a hot take as devil's advocate, okay?
Oh jeez.
Is it the best twist of all time that Darth Vader is his father, or
okay,
is it,
maybe it's not the best twist of all time.
No, or is it simply a retcon? Because Obi-Wan tells him Darth Vader killed your father. It's not like we didn't have that information and it's a twist. Like we were just provided a lie and then they changed it. So I'm just saying.
Well, when you do think about it, Darth Vader kind of did kill Anakin
He killed
Skywalker.
Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
So when you look at it that way, I understand what you're saying, but I can't say I agree with you. But I understand what you're saying. I totally get where you're coming from, though.
I know that when
just-
George Lucas did the first movie, he wasn't thinking about any other movies, so I think it was something that he thought of later on. So you're not really far off, but to me, it still is like such a huge twist. Like I remember being probably like 4 or something when I watched that scene, and I was like, "What?" Like even as a child, you know, being shocked by that information was crazy. But also a fun fact that I love about this movie is the beginning when Luke is on Hoth and he's all torn up and whatever. They kind of had to write that in because Mark Hamill had been in a bad car accident and had a lot of
Yes.
plastic surgery done.
Mhm.
And so he doesn't look, I mean, he still looks like himself, but he looks different and he has scars and whatever.
Mhm.
And I think it
Yes.
was such a great way to integrate that without people going, what happened to his face, whatever. Like, I'm sure fans, like, noticed, but they weren't so put off by it because now it's part of the story. And I really appreciated that they were able to work that in and that he was okay because thank God, like, that would be bad. But yeah, I love the whole beginning sequence on Hoth is like my favorite. I just love it. I don't know why I love it, but I just do.
Well, we could talk a little later on about why we think that this is the best movie, but you know, technically you vetoed it, and now it's officially our number one. But we have one more film to talk about. So, Veronica,
do it.
So you would put A New Hope at number one.
I would, yeah.
Why would you put it at number one?
So yeah, now I'm officially nominating it as number 2 slot. So I've been outmaneuvered, but yeah, New Hope. And again, like I said, we're splitting hairs here, but A New Hope, I just feel like it stands alone as just like one of the greatest action adventure movies. And you know, like I said, Empire, it deepens things, it gets a little darker, and I appreciate all that. But you just have to think about the fact that, like, you know, we've gotten this nearly 50-year franchise based on this movie, and like if this was the only thing that we had ever gotten, it still would be revolutionary. It still would be, you know, such a powerful movie to so many people, and the fact that it can stand on its own for that, and you know, and then like I said before too, it's the Joseph Campbell hero journey. It's not like it was so revolutionary in that way, but just everything around it, the effects, the music, God, like we said, it's just that can't be emphasized enough. Literally, if you take the music out of Star Wars, like I don't think it would be nearly as popular. John Williams really putting the whole thing on his back there. And yeah, so just the elevating of sci-fi, making that something that is so monoculture. And, you know, I think we forget because like everything is so fragmented now. Everyone has their own niches and everyone can kind of be into anything. But like this was so huge, and then it sort of retreated into like nerddom sort of thing that was a bit more segmented, but like, you know, for a time there, this was what everybody had seen and everybody could discuss and talk about. And yeah, I think that, I mean, all of the characters are so indelible and great. You probably got to just hand it to Han Solo for being like one of the greatest creations ever.
Yeah.
In the writing, in the performance. Like it's just that's just like, you know, top tier. It can't be beat. So yeah, I think that this one is just stands alone. It's just the best. Like if I'm gonna just rewatch something, like this one is just, it hits every time.
Yeah, I mean, you have to give it a lot of credit because this obviously kicked off the entire thing, and it did it beautifully. Like it's a really great film, and you brought up, like, if this was the only piece of Star Wars we ever got, it would still be amazing. Like on its own, it was so embraced when it came out, and it was, you know, something that nobody ever thought they would get, and it was, you know, a big deal when it came out in 77, and it was a huge deal, and it's also crazy too when you think about, and I know that we say this every episode, I know that Oscars don't matter or anything, but the fact that this was nominated for Best Picture is really cool. I think that is so awesome that this little sci-fi film that at the time nobody knew that it would end up becoming the biggest phenomenon probably in cinema history went on to become this awards juggernaut. And in a time where there was only 5 nominees for picture. Like, think about that. That's a huge thing that a blockbuster like this would have gotten nominated in a lineup of 5. That's insane. That is crazy to me that it happened, and it's very deserving. Yeah, everything.
Yeah, it was undeniable. Like,
yeah, completely agree. Yeah, everything you said. I mean, there's really nothing else to add. This movie, like, it's aged beautifully. It gets better and better on every watch. Han Solo is unbelievable. Every line that comes out of Harrison Ford's mouth is genius. Mark Hamill, just an incredible discovery. Same with Carrie Fisher. The effects, the music. The music really. Let me ask you guys this, just to put a pin on this for a minute. Would you say that the Star Wars music, combining all the Star Wars music together, would you say that that's the best piece of music that John Williams has ever composed?
Yeah.
I mean,
You would say so? It's tough because
Yeah.
hard because like he did Jaws, you know what I mean? Like he
he
made so
did
many
Jaws.
iconic songs.
He's done like every iconic
Yeah.
movie theme
Every
ever.
icon, yeah. So it's like, how can you say what's the best when they're all
It's
amazing and iconic in their own
Thi-
way? Like they're
this,
all perfect.
Jaws, E.T., Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, Harry
I mean,
Potter,
Anything
Superman.
that's good, he's done it.
Like he's
He's
done
done
it.
it.
Like there's a reason why he will probably be cemented as the greatest composer that we have ever been graced with. Like yeah,
Yeah.
It's Brian, you and I did that letterbox challenge, and I think we both put the Lord of the Rings franchise as like the best score overall.
Well, I
But
mean,
this
That's
well,
a
I
good
stand.
one.
I stand by my take.
yeah, no, that would be my number one, but Star Wars is my number two for like overall franchise music of all time.
That-
So like that's definitely my
yeah,
favorite John Williams.
Yeah, I would probably say so too, because I mean, he composed. Well, I mean, he didn't compose the anthology stuff, but he composed all 9. Well, you also think about how much work really went into like the last 2 movies and everything, because it kind of was mirroring what he did with Force Awakens and the other 6 movies. But that's a different discussion for another time.
But he still made them all in the first place.
He did,
Even if it's
and
just iterating like later on.
yes,
It's
yes,
just
yes.
the totality of that, like the theme, the opening theme, the Imperial March, the closing,
Yeah.
like you just
The Imperial March is probably
So
my favorite
good.
piece of composition in film. Like that's just, oh my god, yeah. A New Hope really is outstanding. Do you have a favorite line from the movie, Veronica?
oh my god, I don't know. I didn't think about that. Let's see. What's the? I can't even. I'm just thinking of like a funny moment right now when Han answers the thing and is the like I can't remember the exact moment, but I'm good. How are you? Like that is like Han so off guard. I remember just watching that. I watched it at some point after not having seen it for a long time, and I was like, "This is so like genuinely funny," and he's just so.
Well, it's his delivery that
charismatic
just
and-
makes it
yeah.
so good and everything. And
We're fine. How are you? And then like shooting it out.
who is this? Who is this? What's your operating number? Boring conversation anyway. Look, we're gonna have company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I
was the
like
first thing
when
that jumped out to me.
I like when Leia's like, "Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?" That's good. But then also when Luke's like, "Oh, I was gonna go to Tashi Station and get some power converters." Like he's so whiny, just like he's so annoying. Typical teenage boy, you know.
I mean, can you blame him though? Like power converters sounds.
I
great.
get it. I get
Wonderful
it.
girl. Either I'm gonna kill her or I'm beginning to like her.
Oh my god. There's a lot of good
That
lines
in a
in
way,
this,
you're gonna
though.
get us killed. Absolutely, you worship. God,
There's a
Harrison
lot of
Ford is-
good ones.
Harrison Ford is the man. Oh God, Athena, what about you? What do you have to add about A New Hope?
I mean, everything that you guys said, like 100%, I'm right there with you guys. And I mentioned it in like the very beginning of this podcast, but this movie paved the way for a lot of other like cinema breakthroughs and like just technological advancements, like creating ILM, which did the first CGI. Like that is a huge deal. And seeing how they made all the miniatures and everything. Like if you're listening to this and you have no idea what I'm talking about, you haven't seen how they created all the battle scenes and like the ships flying and stuff, go and watch a documentary about it. There's a bunch of them. You will be mind blown because this was the first time that technology really had been done and created. And now obviously we have like different CGI than what they had back then. But the fact that it was so groundbreaking and we still use these things to this day is pretty amazing to me. But yeah, this movie, I mean, without this movie, what would we have? Nothing. We wouldn't have any of the other movies that we talked about. And I think that it really set up a franchise that I mean, it didn't know it was going to set up a franchise, but it set up a franchise in like the best way possible, where we have this entire galaxy of possibilities, and now we're going to have, Ryan Gosling is going to be in a movie, and we can do so many different stories in this galaxy that there's no like wrong answer to what the next story is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
sure.
Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie.
Well, yes.
No.
Yes.
Actually,
This
A New
one
Hope
paved
is
the
at
way.
2. Yeah.
This
A
paved
New
the
Hope is at number 2, and for Athena's final pick, she would be taking Empire Strikes Back at number 1.
I have to do it.
Yeah, it's just the best. And also, speaking of parodies and everything, it gave us that great parody in Toy Story 2 where Zurg was Buzz's father.
Oh, that's funny. I forgot about that.
I'm gonna play catch with my dad. Good throw, son. That's my boy. Oh, you're a great dad. Yippee!
Oh my god.
We brought this up on our sequels draft a few weeks ago, and that just never gets old. I love that moment so much. Yeah, I mean, yeah. What else is there to say?
Too, if we're talking about parodies.
Oh God, I'm so excited for Spaceballs 2. I'm very excited. I mean, obviously, I wish that we had gotten it sooner, but I'm really interested to see how they're going to parody everything that came after the first Spaceballs, because we got so much more Star Wars after that first Spaceball back in the 80s and everything. So yeah. All right. We're going to recap the list, and then I want to pose just quick, brief questions before we officially wrap the episode. So I'm going to read the order of our list. So at number 12, The Clone Wars. Number 11, The Rise of Skywalker. Number 10, Solo. Number 9, Attack of the Clones. Number 8, The Phantom Menace. Number 7, The Last Jedi. Number 6, Return of the Jedi. 5, Rogue One. 4, Revenge of the Sith. 3, Force Awakens. 2, A New Hope. And number 1, the correct answer, The Empire Strikes Back. Okay.
I should have used my veto on Clone Wars and got Rise of Skywalker at the bottom.
Yeah, well,
honestly, I wouldn't disagree with that.
Well, then why didn't you do that? You could have used a veto. Veronica's the only person that didn't use a veto.
Yep.
Well, to be fair, you only have one, so.
Yeah, I just had the one, so I didn't want to use it on the back half of the list.
The first pick.
Yeah.
So I want to pose very quick questions to you guys. Mandalorian and Grogu is coming out. By the time this episode drops, it will be the weekend of the release. Are we looking forward to it or not really? I'll start by saying that I'm not really looking forward to it. I'm excited to watch a Star Wars movie in the theater again. I just wish that this wasn't our first Star Wars movie back in the theater. That's all I'll say. Athena, are you looking forward to Mandalorian and Grogu?
I am. I think I'm keeping an open mind, I feel like either way I'm going to have fun. I don't think anything could be worse than the last movie that came out.
That's true.
I just feel like it's going to be a fun time. I'm not hoping for this to be like the best Star Wars movie ever made. I just think it'll be fun and I'll enjoy it.
Yeah. Veronica, well, you have a hot take. You haven't even watched Mandalorian, correct?
Mandalorian. I watched about an episode and a half of the first season. It just didn't really grab me. And even though I know that a lot of people like that first season, especially that it starts off strong and then gets a little weaker from there. But yeah, it wasn't something that held my interest. So I've stayed away from it. I know about Grogu through cultural osmosis, but yeah, I'm definitely I'm hoping to have a movie that is just a good enough fun time at the movies and can sort of stand on its own. And if we get that, then maybe I'm kind of grading on a curve. Maybe I'll be happy enough with that because I'm not expecting much. I'm expecting. I'm curious to see how it works for me as someone who hasn't watched the show, who knows enough about ancillary Star Wars stuff, but maybe not the details here. So I'm curious, but I'm open to having a good time. But I'm not gonna, it's not gonna be devastating to me if I don't. Like if I don't, then it's about what I figured.
Yeah, I hope to be surprised. I hope to walk out of the movie a bit more positive than I will be walking into it. But I hate to say it, I'm not going to be fully surprised if I'm not like over enthusiastic about it when it wraps up and everything, because it just looks to me like a made for Disney Plus movie. Like the it doesn't look like a movie, which is disappointing because you have a big budget and you want it to look cinematic. And I know that they tried that with the TV shows and everything, but like the movie just it should look cinematic, and maybe it looks better in the final product. We'll have to see when the movie comes out, but I'm not expecting much. I am, however, very open-minded about Starfighter, which is the Ryan Gosling Star Wars movie. Now, that being said, this is another one where I'm going in with a lot of trepidation because Sean Levy directed it. He made Big Fat Liar, which is a masterpiece. He made Night at the Museum, which is also a masterpiece. But Deadpool and Wolverine sucked ass, so I need him to bounce upward again. I feel like he probably will because he'll have a better script to work with. The writer of this movie has written a handful of really good projects and everything, both in film and television. So I am a bit more open-minded. Plus, Ryan Gosling is perfect for a Star Wars movie. I think that he just has the look for it, and the cast in that movie is pretty awesome. So I'm really open-minded with that one. I just hate that we have to wait a year. I do think that should have been the first Star Wars movie back in the theater because it's a new story. It's an original story, while this is just a straight-up continuation of a TV show. And originally it was supposed to be a 4th season of Mandalorian, but now it's like this is essentially going to be the 4th season in a 2-hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think in a weird way, Project Hail Mary actually makes me a little less excited for
Starfighter.
Starfighter. Because I'm just like, okay, for you, Brian, Project Hail Mary was a masterpiece. For me, I thought it was a really strong, really super fun,
Project Hail Mary is a masterpiece.
solid movie.
That is correct.
Yeah. So I'm like, we kind of just got Ryan Gosling in space with a tone that is very exciting and buzzy.
We don't know if this is going to be. I don't know what they're going to do with this. I'm actually really interested to see what direction they go with it.
But I would picture from knowing, Sean Levy's work, from knowing what Star Wars is at this point and Ryan Gosling's persona, like I kind of feel like it's just going to look like, JV Project Hail Mary. Like it's going to be like a lesser version of that. It's kind of like we just saw him do a very similar thing in a way that is probably going to be a lot, Project Hail Mary is probably a lot more of a solid project with all this other baggage.
I would agree. I would be shocked if this is better than. I mean, I would be happy if this movie was great, but Athena, are you looking forward to Starfighter?
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's either going to be really great or it's going to be really bad. And that's kind of sad to say, but it's like, I like Ryan Gosling, but Veronica, I see what you're saying, where it's like, is it just going to be like Ryan Gosling in space again? Because, I mean, he'll be great in any role, but I just feel like if it's going to be, I don't know what the tone is of the story yet. Is it going to be more serious? Is it going to be more silly, fun adventure? I'm not really sure, so I'm just kind of like, I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm not going to be like, I'm still going to see it when it comes out, but I'm not jumping for joy. When they said Ryan Gosling, I went, okay, and that's not because I don't like him. I just feel like I'm kind of tired of seeing, like, these big celebrities in these franchises. Like, I think I love when they do, like, the unknowns or, like, people that haven't done much. Like, with the new Hunger Games movie, the guy that's playing young Haymitch is, like, kind of unknown. Like, he's been in some stuff, but he's not, like, this huge big name that you're like, oh, yeah, I know exactly what I'm getting. Like, I want the character to be new.
We talked badly about Solo, but at least, like, Alden Ehrenreich, like, he wasn't really that established of an actor when he got cast as Han Solo. So, like, I agree. Like, it's going to be distracting that Ryan Gosling, who's this actor that we all know and a lot of us love, like, they should have just went with someone not as established.
And I just think he's been killing it the last few years, and I just feel like this is probably going to be this is them hopping on the train retroactively and being like, oh, he's really great at doing this, action star comedy stuff, and it's just going to be like a watered down version of that.
Well, to be fair, this has been in the works for a very long time. This is not like a new thing that they just came up with. So this was like way before Project Hail Mary was even going to be a thing. So I think the timing is just kind of odd, but I don't know. It'll be either really good or really bad. I don't know where it's going to go. Hopefully we all love it.
It can't be worse than Deadpool and Wolverine. It cannot be worse than that.
I didn't watch it. I do not like Ryan Reynolds. I do not like him. Batman is a psychopath. Get him away from me. I don't want to see him, and I don't want to see his wife.
Reynolds.
Go back to Canada and don't burn down another school, please. He's an arsonist, if you didn't know. Yeah, so that's that. But yeah, him and his wife, ew, no thanks. Anything with them, I'm like,
Bye.
bad vibes. Bad vibes.
And this will be once again where Veronica's like, all right, everyone, drop everything and watch Andor. Fuck all these movies and watch Andor.
I do feel a little bit like I'm not all that excited for Mandalorian or the Ryan Gosling one, and I'm like, I kind of feel like I got Andor and I'm good. Like if I happen to enjoy a Star Wars property moving forward, then great. But it's like I don't foresee them doing anything as ambitious as Andor.
I
in the
still
near
think
future,
you
so
should watch
I'm not really
Mandalorian
hoping.
season 1 though, because I feel like
Yeah.
it's very
Mandalorian
different.
season 1's very good. I actually
The
like
tone
season
is
2
very
as well, but season 1 is much better.
Season 1 is great. You don't even have to continue after that. Like, I feel like if you watch that, it will not only help you understand the movie more because they're going to have a lot of Easter eggs from, like, the show, but I feel like you're missing out if you don't give it a shot, you know, as a Star Wars fan. Like, you should at least give it a shot because that story is so interesting of, like, him guarding this baby that's also 50 years old. Like, you're like, wait, what? But then he has the Force, like, you know, they go on these crazy journeys together. You learn about, like, the Mandalorian ways, and it's a religion, basically, and it's very interesting. I would give it a shot if you have time, Veronica, because I think you might like it.
Yeah, I kind of, as just an experiment, I kind of want to see the movie first without having seen anything, and then maybe if I'm pretty positive on it, maybe I'll go back and fill in the gaps.
I think it's going to be a fun experiment for us because I haven't seen I never finished season 3 of Mandalorian, and I've heard that I don't really need to, but I've seen the first 2 seasons. I've seen enough. But since you've only seen an episode and a half, like, you know, you've barely seen anything. Yeah. So it's, you know, it's going to be fun dissecting it with someone who hasn't even seen, you know, anything else with these characters. So, yeah, hoping it's a decent movie. Hope the Starfighter movie is also decent. And yes, I will watch Andor soon. I promise I will make that a priority. I will push aside all the other TV that I need to watch, and I will watch Andor.
Even if you don't like Andor, you'll get to see Diego Luna,
I know
so
that
it's
I
a
like
win.
it. I love Tony Gilroy. I love his stuff. Michael Caine is one of my favorite films ever. So I've heard that it's like Michael Caine and Star Wars. I've just heard that it's like the least like Star Wars thing that has ever happened. Like, doesn't rely on Easter eggs or fan service or anything. That's what I've been wanting from Star Wars since Disney acquired them. So, yeah. All right. We've been here very long. We've talked about Star Wars for a long time. We did our ranking. Veronica glazed about Andor. We did everything we needed to do. So, that's it.
I think that concludes our Star Wars collaborative draft. But be sure to let us know what you think of our rankings.
And with that is a wrap on today's episode of Some Like It Real. Thank you all for joining us. If you're interested in following on our journey, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Bryan Sutfield.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Vera Albarella and on Letterboxd at Alba_real_A.
And a huge, massive thank you to Athena for joining us today. We loved having you on. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can the listeners find you?
Oh, well, you can find me on Instagram at Toasty the Baker, TOASTY the Baker. YouTube, just search my name, Athena Stamakinley. You'll find me on there as well. And TikTok at Athena_Jewel. But yeah, thank you guys for having me. It was so fun, and may the force be with you.
May the force be with everyone as well. Go give Athena a follow. Links will be in the description. And you can follow the show on all socials at Some Like It Real, as well as on YouTube at Some Like It Real. Be sure to subscribe and share it around and tune in every Monday and Thursday for a new episode of Some Like It Real on podcast platforms.
We'll see you next time.